And then just keep making your eyebrow things you were doing right now. There you go. If you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, who you are, what you drive, and where you drive it, and we'll get into all your fun stuff.
My name's Alex Ferreira, or Alessandro Ferreira, however what country you're from. I drive an orange Mustang, is what I say, because it's basically the most recognizable thing about it. Because I can say I'm the only orange Mustang drifter in the country, well, with an S550. I drive Hot Pit Autofest and any ride-along event I'm welcome to. That's pretty much it. One day I'd like to be an FD, but gonna have to have some podiums before I worry about that.
Yeah, I heard that FD is always the plan for everybody. Well, not for everybody, for a lot of people. How long have you been in that car?
Well, that's my first. Oh, how long have I been drifting in or competing?
Yeah, just in the S550 chassis.
Uh, do you want the full story?
Yeah,
So
we got
basically,
time.
so
Yeah.
basically, I have L-Spec, which is basically a performance shop, and I've been famous for Supras and Skylines and stuff like that. And basically, every one of my customers has like over 700 horsepower minimum, and I had a full bolt-on G37. So whenever I met up with them or gone on cruise with them to like show off the L-Spec crew, I guess you could say, like the cars I built, I'd be in the back because I'd be the slowest car. So I got really angry about that. So I was going to buy a car. My goal was it has to be over 1,000 and it has to be dailyable. And also it has to be driftable. So I went out right mid pandemic and bought a black 2020 Mustang GT, brand new off the shelf, and immediately put a Helion twin turbo kit on it and spent like $100,000 in parts. Made 1,100 horsepower at that point. And then I was told by the owner of a company, I won't mention who, that you don't need to do an oil pump gear on a turbo car because there's nothing being driven, unlike a supercharger. And about 6 months into that, the oil pump gear broke, destroyed my engine, and it was mid-pandemic, so there was no parts available. So I was trying to find an engine to replace mine, and I was trying to buy. Then I ended up finding out the Ford Performance Illuminator short block was the best solution because it was actually pretty much the same price buying the short block as it would be to buy all the forged internals for my damaged engine. And on the website showed a distributor, and it was a place called Hotline Performance. So I called that place, and they're like, "Who is this? How did you get this number?" And I was like, "It's on the website." It's like, "Oh, can you give me this engine?" "Yeah." "Who is this?" "This is Justin Pollock." I'm like, "Oh, that makes sense." So I went there to go talk to him, and we talked for like 8 hours, I think.
Jesus
And
fucking Christ.
I already had a 240 project car. You know the joke, how the joke goes, like, what is it? Every fucking 240 will be done one day, right? So mine was sitting in the background for years.
So you hope.
And he told me like, well, I mean, why don't you just drift the S550? And I'm like, I don't even know how I would go about doing that. And he goes, I can sell you all that stuff. So I, on a whim, went out and bought another Mustang and bought everything JTP has available to sell me. And then I built the car. And originally the car was going to be not even a competition car. It was going to be a drift week / pro-am car. Like, like, oh, I'll do some competition events, but not like, oh yeah, I'm going to win, just for fun. And I did one event and I got egged on because Rome was the judge. I'll tell the full story. Rome was the judge, and Trenton Beecham and Taka Ono. And Taka Ono has known me for a while, so he knew I knew how to drift. And then Rome was like saying to us in the driver's meeting, like, the only driver even getting close was the orange Mustang. So they said to me, you should get closer and show everyone. So I did it, but at the time my orange Mustang was bone stock. And when I went to go initiate on the bank at this Speedway in Willow Springs, the rear box section of my Mustang caught on the wall and then pulled me in and destroyed my whole car. And then it went from being a drift week car to a full pro car because I had to cut the whole rear end off. I had to originally I had JTP's daily kit, which doesn't require a wide body, but now since my front was destroyed, I bought the wide body Anderson's kit that they make for JTP, and snowballed,
Wow.
got worse and worse and
That's
worse. And the whole idea behind buying the S550 isn't that I think it's like the best drift car in the world. I don't think that at all. What I think is it's a competitive car. It's definitely a car that can be competitive. But if you were to ask me what the best drift car, I would not say the S550. But if you can drive it, you can win. The key point being you can drive it. So
yeah.
been doing Drift League. I did like 3 rounds of Drift League. And then Hot Pit started. They didn't know who the hell I was. And then I begged to get in the Fuel Fest last year. And then my whole idea behind going to Fuel Fest that Hot Pit ran in Erndale was that I would show them that I'm someone who deserves to be in Hot Pit. And
Yeah.
then Rob and Jeff said, and RJ said, yeah, come on in. And the rest is history. But that's basically what it is. But I am not, as we've talked before, I am not like saying the S550 is the best chassis, but I can go into a whole other conversation about what I do think is the best chassis. But yeah, when you were on, like I was talking to Casey Chavez about it, when you can drive the S550 at its peak, no one will beat you. No one. No one's going to be able to keep up with you. No one's going to be able to duplicate what you can do with an S550. But like you have to drive it within, and you can watch it in JTP style and Chelsea style. You notice when they get it, no one like, can you look at any car that looks that cool, right? No one looks that cool. But when it's
Yeah.
so easy for them, screw up. But yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. I do. They are. I'm a Chevy guy, like born, but the Mustang is arguably my favorite car in the FD field. I could care the other ones. I don't care too much for. I actually don't even like drift cars, so I like old hot rods. I know I love
See,
drifting,
you
but
and
you
Josh
can't really
Mason are
drift
like
a
that.
'66 Chevelle. So at least competitively, you can't.
No, I'm in the exact opposite, believe it or not. I've never been in American cars. I've
Oh,
never,
really?
ever, never been in
You just
American.
tumbled into the S550 because on a whim because of JTP.
Literally, yeah. I mean,
Wow.
it was mostly because of the engine. It's because I knew it could
Hmm.
make 1,000 horsepower for my daily to screw over all my customers who have Supras that I built for them.
Okay.
But and then yeah, just JTP convinced me that it would be a better drift car than a 240. I should be specific on that. Not better as a drift car, better to make a career out of it. That's what his exact
Yeah,
words
that's
were.
fair.
Yeah, it was.
Okay, that's fair.
He did not tell me that it is the best drift car. What he said, it is the best drift car right now for a career because it's a brand new car. And also,
That makes
Nissan doesn't give
sense.
a shit about drifting at all. They haven't for years.
Yeah,
And then also, if it was Toyota, why the hell would they sponsor me? They have Osbo and Ryan Turk. So it's like,
that is fair.
and then all they have now is RTR. So I kind of have like that sliver.
I know. I'm surprised he didn't stay, even though like he didn't want to leave Falcon or he wanted to stay loyal to Falcon. But I
It's
get it.
it's it. That's it. That's the full. Actually, I know the exact story, and
Yeah,
I can
I get.
summarize it in: he is Falcon,
Yeah,
ride or die. No
that's
matter.
fair.
I don't
I
agree.
respect the loyalty.
I don't agree, but
I respect the loyalty. I
yeah,
don't. Would I do it? No, no. I'd be lying if I said I did. I would.
no, I've
Look at. You watch FD, right? So you see
oh,
guys jump ship every year on tires, and then something will go bad or whatever happens, and then they jump back to whatever tire they were on. Like I've seen what I want to say Gushi's done it where he'll be on Falcon for a year and then go. He went back to like Nexon or something like that, or was it Achilles? I can't remember.
well,
And
I
then even
this is so crazy. Inori, I don't know how this happens. I guess it's because I talk too much, but I know the story behind all of that. Why the tire dropping, and I also know what by the pro guys is considered the best tire, and it's Nitto and Falcon are the two best tires. Were the two best tires. GT
yeah,
Radio third, and then Nexon is. I don't want. Okay, I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to say those are the top three, and I will leave the rest of
yeah,
it out. Now that
it
Federal's
was
out,
Achilles.
yeah. Now that Federal's, Achilles is gone, unfortunately. But yeah, that was the best. I'm sorry. Yeah, that was the best tire. But that
What tire are you running right now?
So Volino for hot pit. Um, but I think I'm going to transition next year to 100% Vitor.
I've heard like a lot of great things about Vitor.
Look,
I haven't heard a negative thing yet.
there's a mixed bag on, like, not for me, but there's a mixed bag on a lot of the other drivers I've spoken to. Like, I won't
Hmm.
speak for them, but I will say I've had, the one thing I will tell you, Volino lasts longer than any tire. There's no tire that lasts as long as Volino. And
Really?
yeah,
Good to
no,
know.
there's no tire,
Okay.
period. No tire. If we're talking, and I've done actually a lot of testing, and there's a video I still need to release, and it's just one of those things where I'm always too busy to actually finish it up. But I've actually done a video with all the pro tires on my black car, which has 1,300 horsepower, so it's actually a fair comparison. And
Hmm.
the Vitor is actually really good. But what I will tell you, what I was going to say is Volino is, if there's a reason why it's not an FD, it's not legal. If Kevin Wells let Volino in as a competitor tire, I was told by somebody, I can't say who, but it basically would be a guaranteed whoever has Volino wins. That's how superior their tire is to
Really?
everyone's. Yeah, because here's the thing. We got to understand Volino is the drift tire. Nitto and
Okay.
Falcon and GT Radial are a sports car tire they've made for drifting. Volino, his only market is drifting.
That's a
So
good point.
their tire that's why if you go to Drift Masters and you look at their driving, I mean, even
Hmm.
we have long conversations with Rome about it. Look at the small, tiny courses they have and how fast they're going. I mean, they're going on courses that are the size of ABS, but going like 80 miles an hour where you would normally go 60. And
That's fair.
most
Okay.
of the teams are running Volino. But no, Volino is the longest lasting and highest grip tire on average. But yeah, they're just really expensive, and there's no way in hell anyone in America is ever going to get sponsored. Well, let me correct myself. There's no way in hell I will ever get sponsored by Volino.
Would you say that the price per lap, the dollar per lap, is worth
Yep.
the high price?
Mhm.
So let's just say, how much power are you making in weight, and how many laps are you getting out of a tire? I mean, obviously, it depends on a layout,
I will tell you, it
uh,
actually all depends on heat. It actually all depends on heat.
heat, like heat management
Yep.
and stuff.
It's all heat.
That makes sense.
It's
Okay.
all heat because we could have a long course as long as you're only doing one lap at a time. Like AVS, believe it or not, is the worst for tire wear for me of anywhere because I don't know if anyone else does it, but I'll drift the whole course from beginning to end, and I'll drift it at max angle. And yeah, I'll go through 3 hot laps and my tires are done. So
Yeah, I don't ever hot lap that place
yeah, no, it's
because
not
of
good.
that.
But yeah, a perfect example. Fuel Fest this year at Erndale. I was doing that massive train. I think you saw, and I got 24 laps on one set of Linos, and at the end of those 20 laps, I still had 40% tread left.
Damn, that's not bad.
And that's because we had every lap.
Um,
We did one lap, wait for a passenger to get fitted in, wait in line to get let in the track. So you're waiting 10 minutes between each lap.
yeah, at minimum.
Yeah.
And that's if like no one spun out and did
Well,
any
luckily,
crazy thing.
that's why I really like hot pit, man, and I know you do too. Is like there's very few drivers that are allowed with hot pit that are bad. So that's what I
Correct.
will say. Every event those guys run, man, there's the driving skill. That's why I said I gotta up my game to keep up with it. Because holy crap, man, the way it's going right
Yeah,
now, next year FD will probably be a step below hot pits at this point.
yeah, it's the pro spec at least for sure.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
it's pretty
no,
wild.
it's already proven. It's already proven. I mean, a pro spec driver, unless you're the champion, you're not really going to be consistent. And it says a lot. Like I wonder what Dustin would do in pro spec.
Oh yeah, he's such a good chase driver.
He's good at everything. And also the best thing is, if you ask me, the
I'm not
best.
saying he's a terrible athlete or anything, but I his watching him chase, no one else chases like him there.
Yeah,
Like he's on your door as soon as you guys enter the big bank on the first outer zone.
yeah, and this is the biggest thing that I mean, I know what it is. I already understand what it's. I think it's for Josh and Dustin at least, and I guess Ben now you could say too. Is it's car setup is what's allowed them. Obviously, they're all amazing drivers. That's not what I mean. But I mean, if you delete the fact that they're all amazing drivers, the things that they have over like another driver I could say who's just as good as a driver, but maybe his car is not quite there. I won't say who, but I think it's the car setup because I feel like that's what gives Dustin an advantage and able to, even though he's making less power than like Josh and the rest of them, he's able to door him because of the car setup is just perfect.
I think the same with John Schaefer
Well,
because the way his
he's figuring
cars,
his car out. He's figuring his car
it's
out
been
still.
wrecked. He just put the new rear wise fab on, so hopefully see better things for him
I
next
mean,
year. He
you
won't come
overheard the
on the FD
conversation.
field.
Let's hope. Let's hope next year. Let's hope.
He thought about. I think that car is always for sale if somebody is willing to buy it.
I think any
He's like,
drift
I'll
car,
build.
dude, any drift
Yeah.
car is for sale for the right price.
Every time you see like, are you on the drift car build? The drift cars for sale on Facebook or
Yeah,
the
but I never
builders
check
group.
it. I never check it.
I always see it. It always comes up in my feed, and then you see like someone's like, "Hey, looking for a comp ready drift car," and then you see John, come get it, please buy it.
That car has been through some hell, man.
Yeah, you seen the Urbandale wreck he had?
No, I didn't. I heard about. Oh
Oh,
no, I'm sorry. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
yeah, that was pretty bad. And then it like I think if I remember correctly, the floor buckled too on the passenger side.
That's crazy.
So
I
yeah, I
mean,
think if I'm not mistaken, it kind of wrinkled a little bit. They got it straight, but just the fact that's just let you know how hard that hit was.
yeah. I mean, I will tell you this. This is one thing I will say about the S550. The infamous accident that was with me when I
Mm-hmm.
tried to get the chassis pulled straight. Uh,
Yeah.
the guy Lalo, he just does Odie's cars and Room's cars. He
Mm-hmm.
goes, I've pulled thousands of drift cars before. I have never had a bigger, harder time than I did with your car. He actually spent 3 days, he said, nonstop trying to pull it straight. The frame is so rigid. Apparently, he said the frame rails, like an E36, right? It's just basically a frame, a thick metal that's been rounded, right? Right.
Mm-hmm.
With the S550 chassis, it's like 5 of those. So it's
Oh
a
fuck.
beam over a beam over a beam over a beam. So
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
yeah.
That's kind of
So I will say, if I ever do get an FD, the good news is I already have. I think you overheard that. I already have another car. So this is going to be my hot pick car forever. So if I
got you.
ever am allowed an FD, it'll be a different car I'll use because yeah, I don't. Once that accident's been happening, this is my mentality, right? This is why I would say Schaefer should get a new car. I have a mentality, right? Once a car's been wrecked pretty bad, you can get it drivable again. But what ends up happening, in my opinion, and this is why right now I could say honestly, I think I've evolved as a driver. Well, my spotter has said that anyways, is that if you have any problem with the car, or even if you don't, but there's that hint in the back of your head saying that, oh, if only it was this, if only it was that, it makes you feel depressed and it makes you feel like you did not give it your all. That's why I feel like someone like Schaefer should have a really nice car and someone like Dustin should have a nice car. And that's why Josh, I feel like of anyone in that group, can probably go away and say he gave everything. And then if he didn't, it's the driver because he did build that brand new car. So he's got a perfect car. And when you don't have a
Yeah.
perfect car, there's always that doubt. Like you can always, if you lose, did you lose because you're a bad driver or did you lose because the car gave up on you? And
Yeah.
that's what I hear a lot from a lot of drivers when they lose. It's like, oh, well, it was this, it was that. Well, a lot like someone like Josh, I imagine I haven't heard him lose, but if he does, I won't hear him like, oh, well, it's because my car was fine. No, it's like his car is built almost perfect, if you ask me.
Yeah, he's been like that since he built his first comp car, which was the other Mustang. Yeah, he always did really well in comp.
I never, believe it or not, I was, I don't think I wasn't not paying attention to anything drifting because I did not have a drift car. It's one of those things. Did you see that meme? I don't know if you saw it or maybe you posted it. Some guy was like, "What's it like? What's it like watching a drift event when you're not competing?" And it's a guy in the
Oh
stands
yeah.
of NFL with the fucking thing. Ready? I'm ready to go,
Yeah.
bro.
Exactly. That's exactly what it's like.
It's like I don't like watching drifting when I don't have a drift car, and then that's why I sometimes don't even want to go to fucking Formula D sometimes because it's just like I don't know. It's just like, especially if your car's broken. Like that was the worst thing. I didn't go to Erndale last year because I think last year I had a broken car or something. And the last thing I want someone to recognize me and be like, "Yo, where's the car, bro? Where's the car?" You know, that old joke where, oh, it's broken in my, backyard. I'll
It's
fix
always
it.
broken.
One day, bro.
Yeah. Every time someone sees me, they're like, "How's the new car coming?" I was like, "I still haven't gotten delivery of it. It's still at Big Duck Club. I'll let you know when I get it." Um, what is the plan with the new S550? Is that like a complete ground up build, or are you
Hmm.
going to be like pulling parts?
No.
Ah,
It's it's a brand new car. So it's probably getting it's probably going to be an S650 because I don't know if you know this, but they're the same. The only change is the facelift. So it's just a facelift car.
is it really a
Mhm.
facelift only?
Mhm.
For some reason, I could have sworn that it was different, or I thought it was different, and I thought that that's what um RTR did. I thought they just facelifted their S550s.
That's what they did. I know this because I know pretty much everyone on the RTR team, and they basically said dude, when they were doing the transition. I can't say that because they'll get in trouble. But anyways, I know for a fact the current car they're using is just an S550 with
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay,
yeah.
with the facelift, but I thought the new 650 was like different suspension and stuff like that.
Nope.
But what it isn't, I don't, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't like the 370Z and the 350Z kind of have similar suspension?
Similar, but it's updated. The 370 is very much so updated, and so is the
Okay, but like
400Z. The 400Z is updated as well.
okay,
Updated. So
that's fine.
okay, so what
Because I know
Nissan did.
Chris used his shit.
Hmm?
Hmm. I know Chris, like Forsberg, used the same shit he already had for the new car, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken,
yeah, but
for the most part.
that's only because no one has made a. Well, at that time, no one had made the updated kit. But yeah, no.
Hmm.
So the 400Z has updated camber arms. It's a true coilover because the all 370 and 350 were a divorce setup.
In the
So
rear, right?
yeah, but the 400 is a true coilover in the rear. Um, there's a few, but yeah, no, those cars are updated. The S550 and the S650 are, for all purposes, the same thing in every way except for interior, a different intake manifold, and a tune. And they lock the ECU, so no one's able to tune it yet. Um, and then the brakes are
Right.
different. And then, yeah, it has electronic parking brakes instead of a mechanical parking brake. So it's mostly just updates. But my biggest pet peeve with Ford is, at least with Nissan, they do make updates that make sense and like improve the performance of the vehicle to a very small
Mhm.
degree. I don't feel like Ford did anything but like bolt-ons. That's all I really think they did. But I mean, the project was probably getting canceled anyway, so I'm happy they still have the car. Put it that way. But anyways, going back
Yeah.
to your original question, yeah, no. So I'm probably gonna make that an S650 just so I have a new car. But
Gotcha.
that car is sitting at one of my team members' house in the East Coast. So I
Mm.
planned ahead. So I have the whole FD, like when it comes to money and plans and all that, I have it. I just need the driving skill. so,
Gotcha.
but
Gotcha.
that car's gonna
No, no
sit
problem.
until Kevin gives me the okay, and that could be 1 year, 2 years, 3 years.
Oh, okay. Are you
Yeah.
petitioning in if you don't win a license traditionally?
No, I can't. I can't petition. Yeah.
Okay.
No, I can't petition because basically I haven't podium. There's no reason.
That's a good point. That's a
Yeah.
good point.
So I mean, it's unless I can podium somewhere, like okay, this Arizona round, right? If I win that, I'll immediately petition instantly because
Okay.
I have a bunch of drivers who will back me up, but I'm not going to send anything in until I have results. Because right now I have zero results. It's like, yeah, I could tell you, oh, I can afford it. Oh, I can get the sponsors. Oh, I have the car. I have the
That's fair.
team. But
Hmm.
then I'll show up and I just won't even qualify. And it's like people will be asking, like, why the hell is this guy in? So
Yeah.
I don't want that. I want to show, if I show up to Pro Spec, I want to be, I want everyone to be like, okay, watch out for this guy. If people are like, I do not want to be in a situation where the worst thing that I ever, what I don't like, because I heard it going along when I went to Atlanta and ran for Chris Leonard. is I heard a lot of like, stay away from this guy, stay away from that guy. Oh, don't get too close to that guy. That guy doesn't know how to drive. That's if I have any goal, it's I do not want to be the guy other teams behind my back are going, yo, just stay
Yeah,
away from him, dude. He'll wreck your shit, bro. Stay away. So until I
yeah,
get that name where people are like, oh yeah, watch out for Alex, I am not even going to talk to Kevin about it. So
that's fair.
yeah,
That's fair. Yeah, shit. Speaking of protesting, I got. Did you stay for the banquet
yeah,
after Hot Pit on?
yeah.
Okay, I got really drunk
Okay, yeah.
and I started
I
talking to.
probably got more drink than you.
I we won't get into that, but I started talking to Shelly, Rudy's wife, and then I was like, "You should petition," but I was fucked up, so I was like, "You should fucking petition." I was like, "You kicked his ass. Why can't you petition him?" And I was like, you can beat most of the people here," or some. I don't remember like verbatim what I said, but I was just being a dumbass and telling someone to petition and like some drunk asshole.
She would have a better time of doing it, especially since she already has a car built by someone who's won prospect,
Oh
basically.
yeah, 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 yeah,
So
but yeah.
she'd have a better chance. I just don't have. I'm too new. Essentially, like I know I've been drifting since like '03, but I've only been on anyone's radar for the past 2 years. So
Oh yeah,
to
and then your
according,
fucking TikTok blew up.
yeah, but I don't think anyone in Formula D knows about that.
I don't think anybody fucking no drifters really are following the TikTok trend. It seems.
Nah, I always laugh because everyone's like, "Oh yeah, I don't install it on my phone because it's gonna Chinese are gonna track me." But then I always tell everyone, it's like, "Well, you have Instagram. Zuckerberg sells all your information to everybody."
He already sold it to him. You're fine. Yeah,
It's like
yeah,
just
yeah.
because it's China doesn't change what Facebook does with your shit.
I don't think China cares what I'm doing.
Yeah, they certainly don't care what I'm doing. But yeah, no, I mean, Shelly would definitely do well. I mean, this is what I'll tell you for sure, and we have confirmation now, especially from Josh Stewart. Is I had an idea because I was talking to some Texas guys about it. Is I had a
Mm-hmm.
theory that West Coast driving has gotten. I would argue, I'll fight you on this, like fight anyone who's willing to fight this. I feel like West Coast is probably the most competitive drivers in the country right now, and it's all to be completely frank, and I don't mean to like tote my horn, but I think it's top it because we're able to drive with pro drivers. Like I know so many Texas drivers who have never driven with any pro drivers ever. And then East Coast, you have pro drivers, but hardly any of them ever show up unless it's like a 10K or 50K event. While everyone on the
Well,
West
I
Coast
think
who
we're a little
competes,
bit more densely populated here too, though. So we probably have like most of the guys from around here
well, no,
come from
Florida.
the city.
Florida's a fucking center house of
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah,
Florida.
isn't that where fucking Hobson's from, or where he resides? Rather, I think he's
He
a
told
Florida
me the
boy.
story. I don't. I know he lives in Atlanta right now. He lives in Atlanta right now. I know that. I think he's from Florida, maybe. I don't remember the story.
Something like that. Yeah,
But I
yeah,
know he
yeah.
lives
I've
right
heard it here
now
and
in
there.
Atlanta. But Chelsea lives in Florida. Rad Dan lives in Florida. Um, all the other S550 drifters live in Florida. So there's like a group of like 50 of them who are in Florida. So if I drifted an S550 in Florida, I would be like everyone else. I don't know
There you
why that
go.
is, but and yeah, Elliot and me are the only two that compete. But yeah,
Oh, Elliot Bright. Yeah,
but
I've had him on this shit show too. Um, what What are your plans for next year with Hot Pit being over? Do you plan on doing any like pro am shootouts or anything? Like actual FD shootouts? Like I think there's one. Actually, there's one this month in October up at Evergreen Speedway.
do you know what it is?
I think I posted it. I think I want to say it's the weekend. Not. I want to say it's like 2 weeks. Not this coming weekend, not the following, but the one after that. So the weekend of the 15th, the 13th, weekend of the 13th.
Maybe it depends on how much money I make. I'm going to Fuel Fest Vegas, so it depends on how much money I make there. So
Yeah.
I made a lot of money at Erndale. So
Oh, did you? Oh, nice.
um,
Okay.
depends on that. But yeah, if I can get a lot of money, because yeah, the trip, I don't even care about competing or the tires because I have spare tires because my car's been broken for so damn long.
Yeah.
But the driving up there, especially with gas prices, to go to
Mhm.
Washington and back is probably going to cost me like $2,000. just in drive.
Yeah, dude, gas is so fucking
Yeah.
ridiculous right now. I mean, I don't pay for gas, so I'm not gonna bitch, but I saw it the other day. Did not look good. Hang on, just to confirm, the date is the 14th and the 15th. And they are doing two separate events. So it's two shootouts. It's not going to be double elimination. It is just going to be a top 32.
Yeah. I mean, I'll go up. I mean, be a lot easier than hot pit. So, I mean, but that's
I
a
think there's going to be a lot less drivers too.
yeah. Well, not only that, and that too. I don't see. Here's what I'll tell you. I got told by now 3 people there are 70 people waiting to get in pro spec.
Pro spec?
Yeah, there's only 5 waiting to get in pro, and they're pretty much saying yes. It's whether or not they can afford it. So that's what I know so
That makes
far.
sense.
But I don't know if that 70 number is correct, but it sounds right. But so
Yeah,
here,
but 70 doesn't mean 70 can afford it.
no, well, here's my thing, right? If I go up to the Washington and not many amazing drivers are doing it, and I get it and I win, like overall, I still don't think they're going to let me in. I think they'd be like, that doesn't prove anything.
That's true. I think they're like doing one license per 16, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, unless like, yeah, I mean, there's no
Maybe
way
it's
because you
16.
can't have other like licensed drivers. Like in my opinion, what my idea was originally for next year was to win one of the rounds of hot pit and use that as a petition to go into FD. Because if I won hot pit, it means I beat how many pro spec drivers and how many pro drivers.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I mean, I think at that point, because Kevin watches hot pit and Andy as well. So I think they'd be very easy to say, well, if Alex can win there, he can for sure win here. Um,
Yeah.
and at this point, yeah. So, anyways, going back to your original question, my idea right now is, yeah, if I can afford it, I'll do it with the license just so I have it. But my plan for next year is I don't think I'm going to get on pro spec. I mean, if I do, great, but I don't think that's going to happen. I'm going to do hot pit next year for sure. And then depending on budget and money, I might build the other car and then start following Fuel Fest across the country and Grid Life. And then just sort of have my other team because he's a truck driver, just having
Hmm.
him take the car to all these events, and then I just fly out, drive it, and then come home, and then he drives it back to his place.
Hmm.
So because it's profitable, it's 100% profitable, and if I build the Mustang like I want to, I don't think the 2J idea was. I know I was talking about putting a 2J in it, but I don't think it'll be interesting, but I don't think it'll work. Um, but yeah, I want to do twin turbo Coyote. And I think at least having
Nice.
a twin turbo Coyote with like 1,000
No
horsepower,
one has one, huh?
no one
No one
has
has
one.
one that
That can
not
be,
not drifting, competing or
yeah,
drifting at least. That'd be pretty neat.
yeah. I already have the kit actually. So,
Is there plenty of space in there for you to be able to do that? Are you
well,
running like
not
a rear
in
mount
factory
radiator?
trim, not in factory trim.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. But I would assume you have to move everything to the back.
Well, it's just the body
Uh,
harness. So the bot in the S550 on the right hand passenger side front, where one of my
mhm,
turbos is going to go, that's where
mhm.
not only the ECU is, but also the main body fuse box, and it's like that
Got
big.
it. Got it.
So
Okay, that makes sense.
yeah, once I already have all the wiring ready to go. So once that's all wired up and the standalone's in the car, there's going to be nothing in the engine bay. So I'll be
Hmm.
able to put the 2 turbos there, and the wastegate's going to come straight out. Now, what I may do for the orange car you know about, I think, I forgot who told me, but he had a good point, because you can't exit exhaust out the front for FD rules, but I don't want to run that car in FD. So I'm thinking I might just run both the exhaust and the wastegate straight out the hood.
Out the hood, yeah.
Um,
Uh, on the Coyote is does kind of like an LS. Does the do the turbos make it quiet?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
But not too
Big
quiet,
spinny
because
mufflers.
it's the thing is my car has so much back pressure. I need pretty massive turbos. I think the turbos I have in the black one are 64 millimeters. So
Holy
twin
shit.
64. And the other thing too, what people always say, go supercharged, don't go turbocharged, is we have a really small crank snout on the Coyote. So which is why they break, which is why my black one isn't working right now. That's a long story I don't want to go into. But let's just say my
Hmm.
black one broke because of installation error on my part. Um, the 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 problem with having a turbocharger is turbo lag, right? So that's why a lot of guys will run nitrous to bring the turbo back into the power band. With
Mhm.
my black car, with my black car on low boost, which is 6.5 pounds, that's 820 horsepower to the wheels, and that
Mhm.
is full boost at 3,000 exactly, and that's with a muffled exhaust. So that's with a restricted exhaust.
Restrictive. Yeah.
And
Okay. That's
then
not bad.
at max power, which is 15 pounds, which I wouldn't even need at FD level, at pro level, I wouldn't even need that much power. That I have full 15 pounds of boost by 3,600 RPM. No,
That's not terrible
my
at
car
all.
revs out to 8, so I have a power band of what 4, 5, 6. I have 4,000 RPM of power band,
That's pretty good.
and also
That's
my
pretty good.
torque curve is a straight line. It doesn't
Nice.
die off, so I have torque the whole way through. Because that's
Oh,
that's
okay.
that's the thing, right? It's not horsepower, it's torque.
Depending where you're at, I guess.
No,
Yeah.
it's torque. I think Kyle has cemented that, and Mad Mike have cemented it's
Oh,
torque.
that's fair. Yeah, they
Because
don't have
they
that.
make tons of horsepower, like half the torque.
Really?
So,
He only makes like 500, 600 torque?
no, not even that. I think it's like 480, 490, I
Holy
think.
shit.
Yeah. And it's not a straight line. It's like,
And I imagine it falls off once it gets
yeah,
to the top end.
no,
Because when you're revving it to what, 8, 9 grand, if not more.
I think his current car is only going to 8. I think. I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong. But yeah, no, I mean,
Gotcha.
if you watch a driving style, like if you watch, like it's so weird. The more competitive I've gotten with it, the more it's easy for me to actually spot things when in the pro level.
Mm-hmm.
And you watch Kyle's, like whenever he doesn't get through, like you could say it's his driving style, but I've been looking at it closer and closer. I don't actually think it's his drive. I think he can actually podium. I think he just doesn't have a platform for it. And I think it's the same. I had a long argument with Jeff about it. Like Jeff could easily be one of the top 3 in the country, no problem. I think
Yeah.
his car is holding him back by a lot. The Z
What would you say was
is not
horsepower? Or?
everything. The Z is
Mm.
not a competitive platform in my opinion, because Forsberg has Nissan money
Uh-huh.
and it's not winning.
It's it was the most competitive chassis until James came. And I'm saying this from a results standpoint, as in nothing had more championships in it than a Z before James came, and then took it over with the 3 240 wins.
Yeah, I mean it's
Because then
pretty.
there was Dies
Yeah,
and his, and outside of that,
wait,
I can't think of anybody else's
don't
name.
die at an FRS.
Dies championship was in an S13.
Oh, Esther, yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Um,
So I disagree with you on that one. I mean, but then again, it's
no. So I talked to someone about this. So if I could be misremembering, but all of Chris Forsberg's wins were with a V8, and that was when he was the only one with the big budget. Because he
oh,
even
that's right.
attested to the horsepower wars. The original horsepower wars were started by Chris. So Chris was the first one to make over 600. He was the very
Mm,
first. And then Daigo made 1100. And then Daigo, I think, was the end of Chris, I think. I think once Daigo said the limit was 1,000 horsepower and Achilles could actually put that 1,000 horsepower to the ground, I believe, and I could be wrong, I think that was the end of Chris Forsberg's domination. So once he stopped being the highest horsepower car in the field, and even at that time, you got to remember, RTR wasn't what it was back then when Chris Forsberg was winning all the time. And it
yeah,
was
I don't even think it was RTR yet.
Chris Forsberg was a bigger team competitive wise than any of the
Mm-hmm.
other teams. Falcon was like a conglomerate. Falcon, because that's when JTP and Vaughn and all of them and what's his name, the Irish guy, were all on the same team with Falcon. And
The Irish James Dean.
then no, the other guy. What was the other? Oh God, Darren
McNamara.
McNamara.
Darren
There you
McNamara.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. So I don't agree with that at all. I think it was And also, that was also the chassis that had the Voodoo arms, because now he runs powered by Max.
Oh, that's a good point.
So there's a lot of like theory crafting you can go, and then however it go. You know, I had an argument with another person about this. Like, my opinion is it's 80% driver and 20% car, because James Dean is kind of what cements my belief on that. Because James Dean is the driver, and look at how horrible he's doing compared to what normally James Dean does.
I mean, it's to be fair, he's in a brand new car.
No, what I'm
He
saying,
hasn't had much
he
time
got
in it.
okay.
Yeah.
No. The RX-7, has he drifted an RX-7 competitively before?
Doesn't he?
No,
His
now he
FD?
does. But immediately, as soon as he got in it, he was already doing well.
No, but I think if I'm not mistaken, he showed up in an RX-7 to FD in like when
Did
he
he?
first came.
I could be wrong.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this was before my time into drifting, so I don't know. But I do remember. I think I do remember hearing something like that. It was an FD with an SR20 in it.
that could be right. That could be right. But
Yeah, I think he showed up. That's the first time he showed up to FD, and he was in the Falcon livery, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah, because actually, believe it or not, this conversation is actually very fresh in my mind because I've been actually doing research because I kind of my end game with L-Spec was always to manufacture cars. It wasn't actually to fix cars. It was to manufacture cars and make cars like Shelby.
Correct. Yeah.
So what I want to end up doing, and it's probably going to happen in the next 5 years, is I want to start selling a car, a new car. Because I've already designed some things for it, and I've already have a platform for it and everything. But it's finding the direction I want to go in that makes feasible. Because I don't think with the way COVID's going, well, not COVID, with the way the economy is going, I don't think I'm ever going to make my own like brand new car. But what I think I could do is a kit car, and what I wanted to do was make a kit car where you buy like an old piece of shit car with an engine, like say a Corvette, right? Let's go buy a C5 Corvette. Then you buy my kit car, and my kit car is basically a brand new 2024 or 2025 in this aspect, that has all the best arms possible, all the best transmission, the best diff, best everything. Still a daily driver, so I'm not going to be whining or any of that stuff, but strong, beefy things that we sell you, and you just put your own engine and emissions components inside of my chassis.
Gotcha.
So, but that's why this idea about what's a good car and what's a best car, and looking at how cars react, and looking at, you know, I've been playing with the suspension and inside the programs and everything, and looking at what they actually do. And I was going down the whole anti-squat thing and seeing if anti-squat was really a way to go. And I'm starting to realize anti-squat is only part of the game, which is this whole argument where like, what car is better, an E36, E46, an E90, 240SX, 370Z, and S550 chassis. And or like the new Supra. What I've come up with, and then the Corvette too. What I've come up with, and my theory right now, from what I've seen with comparing because what I've been doing is looking at drivers who drove one way for many years, then got into a new chassis, and then seeing how they drove in like their first event. And what I can tell you from what I've seen so far, it looks like the best drift chassis is actually the Corvette. Because that is the one drift chassis I've compared with a lot of Pro-Am guys and pro guys where I've seen them compete before and after, going in a different chassis and going to that. Now, the easiest to meld to an amazing driver, though, is a 240. Nothing is easier to drive than a 240. Drift, I should say. So if I were to give you and me a list of cars that you've never driven before, your answer should always be, I'm going to choose the 240, S14 in particular, to drive, or an S15. Because it's the one car, if it's set up correctly, will allow you to be a driver. While a lot of the other chassis will not allow you to be a driver if it's not set up exactly right. But the Corvette, though, even without it being set up and bone stock suspension, still has enough neutral balance and grip to door everyone with equal angle, even in stock form. I've seen drivers with an angle kit only, nothing else, no other mod, be able to door pro spec cars.
That's what Evan Bogovich did in 2020.
He had a Corvette?
He had a silver Corvette. That's how he and I met. Actually, he had a vet at the time, and then He sold it to do Pro Spec or Pro 2, whatever it was when he started. Yeah, it was when he was doing that, he was doing people, and then I would like ask him what's on the car. He's like, chop knuckles. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the rear was like all stock, and he had some coilovers. It was pretty neat little car. And then, but he swore up and down it was like the shit. He was the only reason he changed chassis is because he needed the money to go to Prospect.
Yeah.
Because for people that don't know, these so-called like junior drivers that are driving under these Pro One guys, that's not a free ride. Like they're not inviting you to just go drive for free. No, you have to pay for that.
Yeah. I've learned a lot talking to people.
Yeah,
I've also learned
yeah.
some people are not very good people too. And
That's what blows my mind, dude.
yeah,
Yeah, I'll never say anything negative about anybody, like unless I fucking hate them
yeah,
on the podcast or publicly. But I have heard some horror stories
yeah. I mean,
about your favorite driver, not yours in particular, but just whoever's listening. It might be their favorite driver. And I'm like, oh, I heard he's a fucking dirtbag.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
that's
you know
the
what I mean.
biggest thing that shocked me. And then also, yeah, like the reaction to certain, like when I went to Atlanta was the best thing I could have ever gone to. I'm really happy I got to go do that because it
Mm-hmm.
made me realize what it's like to be at FD. And it literally, for a lot of guys, not for me now, but for a lot of
Mm-hmm.
guys, it's this culture shock, right? You show up to FD and you've had this whole idea of what FD is, and you show up and
Mm-hmm.
it's almost like boot camp. I think Atlanta is almost like boot camp. It really felt like it because I got the full boot camp exposure, like what are you doing? Like yelling at us, like treating us like garbage, and like because our driver made a mistake and threw some rocks at someone. It's a long
Was it
story. And
Andy?
then they came over and said, I know you guys don't give a crap about everyone else. And we're just going like, what happened and why are you angry at us? We don't know what we did wrong. And
Was it Andy?
but oh no,
Was it Andy?
it was, believe it or not, Kevin. I did not expect to get yelled at by Kevin. Kevin didn't seem
Oh
like a
wow. Okay.
yeah. I didn't know Kevin was a person who would yell. I
No, he doesn't give me that vibe. Like to raise his voice at somebody. That's funny.
yeah, no, it's and yeah, no, that was a shock. But anyways, no, it made me realize like, yeah, it's that's why I said I do not after experiencing Atlanta, I really do not want to go to Pro Spec unless everyone is afraid of me in a good way, as in like they're afraid I'm going to beat them, not hit them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
You want to go as a threat, not
yeah. So
someone who's just like crossing their fingers and hoping they're gonna fucking do something.
Ben had a good point. I actually Ben's meant. I think actually I'm actually attested to Ben. What Ben said to me on the last round of Hot Pit, not this one, but the one before when I first met him in person. No, second time I met him in person, is I
Mhm.
asked him like, "So you're going to pro next year after you win pro spec?" And he goes, "Only if I get first." Just like with pro am, I did not go to pro spec because I won two. He goes, I won two or three events before, second and third, but I never got first, and I did not go until I won first overall. And
Ah, okay, I respect that.
because at this point, think about it, right? There's nobody in pro who's going to think Ben is not a threat.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nobody in pro. Well, if he joins pro next year, if you're a moron, you'll think Ben Hobson is not a threat to you. You're an
Yeah, that's
idiot.
fair.
So that's my mentality right now. Yeah, if I don't have that, like yeah, no, but yeah. So, but yeah, going back to the whole chassis thing, like best neutral chassis 240SX. Best competitive chassis, I think, is any Corvette, well, C5 and up, and not the C8. Like I guess C5, C6, C7. I guess I should say. And then the could be like game changer is any of the BMW chassis. But in my opinion, from what I've seen, they could be your worst nightmare.
Depending on the chassis, the E90, from my understanding, and the new what is it, the 1 Series, they share the same suspension in the rear, and apparently that is kind of a bitch to
But
get
even
right.
E46, like figuring out the correct settings for the E46 and E36, it's still like a long. You can't. Okay, if I've never competitively drifted in a BMW. I've done it in a 240, and I've done it in a Z, and I've done it in. That's it. I'm just a Z and a 240, but I've never competitive in anything BMW. Right. the amount
Mhm.
of time and experience I will need to adapt my driving and understanding of how to set up a BMW correctly, it's so huge. While a 240 and a Corvette, it really, because of how simplistic both of their suspension setups are, you don't need to know a lot to get that chassis competitive.
That's what a lot of people argue about the E36 and E46 because, like the way the trailing arm is. Have you ever worked on one or done anything with
Do a
those?
lot of them,
Like, have you
yeah.
seen
And
them?
I have one in the shop right
Yeah,
now.
yeah. So it's just that one trailing arm, and then outside of the upper control arm, the only thing you have are going to be the rear lower control arms that adjust your camber.
Correct, but because of the
So you
anti-squat
just
that's
kick
inherent,
in.
the anti-squat that's inherent in that car, dealing with the anti-squat and manipulating the anti-squat, and I can actually give you a perfect example. There are two E46s. Wait, is there more than two E46s in Hot Pit?
There's several.
No,
There's
E46.
Casey's. There's
Oh,
Casey's.
that's right. You're my bad. Yeah, Casey. That's right.
Uh, that's the only person I can think of right now. Oh, Casey. There's Margaritas. Margaritas. Who else is in one?
And then what's his name? Rykov. That's what's his name? Old's car. But anyways,
Oh, the Russian dude.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So what I've noticed, and you can actually notice really quickly with all the E46s, if you look at them in tandem battle with a car with a lot of side bite like my car, is you notice their cars surge forward. So the one
Mhm.
thing all E46s have in common, and E36 not as much as the E46, but pretty close, is when you're behind somebody who's on line. So let's say the guy in the front's on perfect line, your car constantly wants to surge forward, not sideways, but forward. And I have yet to
Mhm.
see. And then the only car I've seen that is not like that is Andy's. And I was told by someone that it's because it's set up wrong, but I don't think that's the case. But the Andy's is the only one that doesn't look like it's constantly surging forward. Even what's his name, the link, Chelsea's buddy.
I mean, if it's set up so wrong, then maybe he shouldn't have won third.
What?
Andy, I'm saying if they're saying his car's set up wrong, if it's wrong,
Oh,
then
second. He got second. No.
Oh, he got second. I thought he was in third.
No,
Okay,
second. Rudy got third.
gotcha.
But no. So that's another thing. Like you're fighting, right? Like everyone I've talked to who has an E46 to a degree, they're kind of fighting the car. And again, I'm not saying I'm not in mine because I am. I'm fighting my car a lot. But that's why I said I don't think my car is a super. Well, the 240 because I learned how to drift in a 240. And one thing I can
Mhm.
guarantee you with 100% certainty, every 240 I've ever drifted, whether it be competitive or non-competitive, has just driven. Whatever I
It just
wanted to
works. Yeah.
do, it would fucking do it. Even if it was, dude, perfect example. My old 240 I sold, I bought it off some
Mhm.
guy who really didn't understand how to build a car. And it was
Mhm.
slammed. Like the actual, this is how low it was. I drove it home from his place and those chassis rails were hitting the little highlight things on the 405. You know, the little markers on the road? The chassis was
The
hitting those.
reflectors.
The
Yeah.
reflectors, yeah. That's how low it
Yeah.
was. And
Oh wow,
all of the arms were like
it's a lifestyle.
yeah, we're like Godspeed, and it had an SR20 with 200 horsepower, and
The Godspeed coilovers.
yeah, it had Godspeed everything. It had used
Fucking love
coilovers.
it.
No, it had used coilovers. And yeah, I raised the car up. I fixed one of the
Mhm.
arms that wasn't bolted in all the way, and I didn't even do an alignment. And I went out to a car park and immediately drifted the car, no problem,
Oh,
zero
okay.
issues. Um, you know, so I mean that's why I think the 240 is most neutral. I've yet to personally drift a Corvette, but I've raced a Corvette before. I've just never drifted one. But even
Mhm.
just driving one, I feel like it would be pretty self-explanatory. I mean, I already told you the main thing that hurts the S550 is the numb steering. Not being able to have input on the steering is what kills it for I think anyone. I would, in my opinion,
What is the steering setup on that thing?
it's electronic steering, but
Okay.
I'm not entirely sure why it has no self steer. It has close to no self steer.
Is it from the electronic or is it caster?
I think it's from the electronic rack. It's got to be because I've experimented with all sorts of caster settings. Like I've gone. Fuck it, I'll tell you. Tell you that because it's one thing with this big argument among the community. So the right now, the answer is 7.5 caster. That 7.5 caster is perfect for an S550.
Mm.
If you go up, I've tried go as high as 10 caster. What ends up
Mm-hmm.
happening, and you can actually pull up some old footage, practice footage of me, like with Dylan Hughes and Rome. I was on a practice day with them, and I'd initiate, and the car would almost want to do a backy, and I wasn't trying to do a backy. I was on the Walt James, and I went to go initiate, and as I initiate, the car just went backy, and Rome's like telling me, it's like, why are you trying to do a backy, dude? You're trying to practice for Drift League, right? Why are you doing a backy? And it's just like, I'm not trying to. And then you go the other way, you go down to 6, and then the car gets even more numb. So I don't think caster fixes anything. My
Yeah.
assumption is something inside the rack is stopping the transfer of power to the steering wheel. That's my theory.
Have you considered going to like an aftermarket setup,
What do you mean?
like going with a traditional rack and pinion setup?
The only
I mean,
reason why?
obviously you're gonna have to fit it in there. It's not gonna
No, no,
be
no.
easy. Like
So that's what RTR does. The RTR runs an S197 rack.
I would assume that the JTP does something similar.
Nope, a JTP. I have JTP's car essentially. My car is his car, bar the power.
He was running the electric.
Mhm.
How's he get it so well? Yours is pretty snappy too.
No, no, no. So you can see it, and so here's what I'll come down to. This is what the truth of the matter is, and I know he'll fight me on this. If you can drive it, you can drive it. But I will actually. I've seen all of JTP's driving because I had to analyze it to figure out how to drive my kit. Um, the
Definitely drives
biggest
a pimp.
problem with the non-hydraulic setup that have in the car is that if you don't give it perfect inputs and you know where your steering wheel is supposed to be in the drift, that's
Mm-hmm.
every time JTB's lost. Unless it was like a grip thing. Like there's only two ways JTB has ever lost in competition because you cannot look at me in the face and say he isn't one of the best drivers in the world. He is.
Oh, he's fucking great.
He's fucking one of the
Yeah.
greatest drivers
Have
in
you
the world.
seen where he sits?
So what do you mean?
Have you seen where he sits in his car? Like he looks like he's up.
Yeah,
There's a
yeah,
few videos of him. He's
yeah, yeah. No,
like
no.
his chin's at
And
the
also,
steering,
he's
top of the
also
steering wheel.
one of the best car builders in the entire series. His
Oh, I don't disagree with that.
his fabrication skills are out of this world. Um,
Oh, my buddy worked for him. He is fucking
yeah,
particular
he's anal.
when it comes to
If
very
you don't listen to him, he will never talk to you again.
yeah. That's the vibe he gives.
But then even when I do listen to him, he doesn't. Anyways, I'm not going to go there. But I listen to everything he says, so I don't really disagree with him. But yeah, so I've analyzed his driving, and every time he's lost, it's either been a tire grip thing where like he physically can't make as much grip as the Nitto tire, like Atlanta last year. He lost against Osbo, and he won in my eyes, but Osbo gapped it because he
Yeah.
literally could not keep up with him, and it's
Mhm.
solely because of 315 versus a 295.
Yeah.
Um, and then yeah, like when he lost to Rome at New Jersey, he was really angry about that. But if you watch it, it's literally because of the same problem I have with my car, where I go to do something behind it, and then he makes an adjustment, but he doesn't know exactly where the wheel is, so he's trying to
Mhm.
figure out where the wheel is, and then he straightens
Mhm.
behind Rome. Because the
Mm.
thing is, you can't argue and say because he was saying that it's he got the one, and it's bullshit. But the thing is, everyone knows Rome up till now. Now Rome's car is faster, but up till then, Rome was one of the slowest cars because he had Federal. And I will dog Federal to the fucking ground, man. Those are the worst tires in the world. Um, and yeah, he says that Rome was made a mistake and that's what caused him. But yeah, no, every mistake he's made has been because of the steering input. And having a hydraulic rack does actually help with the self steer. But no one has figured out a hydraulic rack for the S550 that doesn't have problems.
Mhm.
Because if you watch any of the behind the scenes videos of Vaughn, James, or Chelsea or Adam LZ, you'll notice RTR has steering problems every lap. Not event, I said lap. They're at St. Louis in the burnout pit. That's the other problem with so another thing I'll tell you. The S550 inner tie rods they're huge. They're the same size as a normal control arm. That's the
Oh
factory
wow.
inner tie rods. The
Okay.
S190 is smaller than a 240SX
Oh shit.
for an inner
Okay.
tie rod. So like Adam LZ was doing his burnout with steering the wheel, it bent one of the steering arms in the burnout. box.
I'm surprised I haven't made something a little bit stiffer or
It's
larger with just
the whole thing with
adapters.
the steering geometry and everything like that. So no one's figured out that they're now currently experimenting with. I do a lot of research on RTR, and I think Vaughn knows that because Vaughn gives me really dirty looks whenever I'm near his tent. So I think Vaughn knows me and Chris Leonard have been like spying on their shit. I don't know
Yeah.
why he doesn't just share the information. Does he really think me and Chris are just going to start destroying RTR? So I don't understand that mentality. I would not feel threatened by me or Chris Leonard, but yeah, they're using twin Volvo pumps on the S197 rack, and it helps because you can see he does have self steer. Chelsea does have self steer, but yeah, they
Mm.
constantly have problems. Like, perfect example. At St. Louis, Chelsea crashed into Chris Forsberg for that exact reason. He lost power steering,
Mm.
and then I think just at Utah, I think he lost power steering again.
Okay. I did not know that.
Yeah, there's
Um,
so many problems.
I was gonna ask you. I had a couple. Oh, you're talking about traveling earlier. I wanted to ask you about that wreck in Texas.
Mm. So the reason why I don't talk about it is because
Uh-huh.
people have gone down certain routes of thought, and my whole idea of never talking about it was, you could say if you were in the car, you would have did something else different, but
Everybody says, yeah,
I mean, the thing is, at the end of the day, you could now at this point, if you for not you, but anyone to tell me at this point that I would have did this different, yeah, JTP could have told me I would have did something different, yeah, because he has way more seat time in an S550. Yeah, I agree that. But anyone
yeah.
else, right? Anyone else who isn't JTP or like Rome or some super high end driver who's been drifting for longer than I have, right?
Hmm.
For you to tell me even like, oh yeah, if I would have did this, I would have did that. But I can tell you exactly the line of events that happened. So my only goal to go to that event, I don't know anyone in Texas besides Chris Leonard. That's the only guy I know. I don't know anyone else. Everyone else to me are just strangers. And
Yeah.
you know that, oh, don't handle with strangers. If you actually watch me drive forever, like find any footage of me, you'll know I get really nervous around people I don't know. And if I don't know you, you'll know too. I'll be like, you watch the video footage of me driving from Matt. Dude, I was like 2 car lengths behind him. So,
Mm.
but you see me behind Rome, I'm like a few millimeters away from him, right? Because I drive with Rome all the time and I know exactly what he's going to do. And I do not want
Yeah.
to be the asshole who hits Matt Field's car, right? But anyways, so what I'm trying
Mhm.
to say is if you look at me historically, I don't tando with randos, right? I don't do that. So I went the whole goal for me going to Fuel Fest, Texas was to actually drive with Chris Leonard and get some good seat
Mhm.
time and to actually give him some seat time. And we were going to swap cars halfway through the event too. He was going to drive mine. I was going to drive his. And I was
Oh,
going to give
okay.
him input on how his car drives so he could be ready for Atlanta. Because this is right before
And not to
Atlanta.
be rude, who's Chris Leonard? Just a quick
The guy,
recap.
the guy in Prospect, the Mustang in Prospect.
Okay, that I knew the name sounded familiar. I just was sure. Okay,
Yeah. So he's the same car as mine, same suspension as mine. He's all JTP, just like me.
gotcha.
But he has an S197 rack. Um, so yeah, that was the plan. So I went up there, and so they were starting to line up. So Chris pulls out, and I was like, okay, fuck it, I'll pull out too. So I follow him. We do a lap with him and his buddy. So he's following his other buddy. His other buddy has an S552. But he told me, oh, yeah, this guy, he's a really good driver. And sure as hell, that fucking guy is a really good driver. So
Uh-huh.
we do the course, and I realized now here's the key point. Listen to my key point here. We're doing the reverse FD layout, the last FD Texas Speedway layout, right? So it's the one where you go in the corner, flick around, and then there's a straightaway. So you have to floor the fuck out of it and then transition into a banked corner, okay?
Okay.
So keep this in mind. I did one lap with Chris, behind Chris. And what I
Uh-huh.
realized is that straightaway, you need a lot of speed to be able to drift it. Because I kind of bitched it. Because it was my first lap out, right? So I kind of
Yeah.
bitched it. So I had to not manji, I came out of drift, straightened a little bit. Then I went back into the corner and left foot braked and drifted. I was like, okay, I got the course. I understand the course. So my next lap, now I know I have to go really fast. So I have to go in, flick it, and then I have to flick back and just fucking floor the shit out of it and go as
Mm-hmm.
fast as possible so I can link the whole course. But I was very confident after one lap, like, oh, dude, I can link this course easy. Easy to link course, right? So I'm sitting there in the line. I don't know what's going on. I just see Chris Leonard doing this. I'm behind Chris Leonard. Remember, I only came there to drive with him. That's the only person I came. So I see him doing
Yeah,
the
yeah.
number. I see him doing this, right? I don't know what the fuck's going on. So I'm just like I literally stick my hand out going like, what's going on? I don't know what's going on. And I see him leave, and then I see him leave, slow down, and then I see him leave faster. So I was like, okay. Because remember I told you we followed another guy, and I noticed he was a really badass driver. So now there's another guy in front of us.
Mm-hmm.
I'm behind Chris. So what's it going through my head? What do you think's going through my head? What did I just tell you is going through my head? I want to link this whole course. I now know you flick it in, and then you floor the fuck out of it. Okay.
Yeah.
So I flick it in. I almost do a backy. And in fact, I did such a good entry. Johnny, my crew, one of my crew mechanics, he even said, dude, that feels like JTP's car. So it's like we go do a backy almost, we floor it. I transition. I see smoke. So there's smoke in my eye line. And then now I see Chris's car and I see this other 240 and it looks like they tap. And then all of a sudden I see Chris go backwards. And then all of a sudden I see that car is not, my brain goes, okay, Chris is, going off track because he fucked up, whatever. And then I look at it and then I realize that car is basically coming to a stop now.
Oh shit. Oh,
So
okay.
so I've had that mistake where I felt like oh shit moment. I've been in a train with an oh shit moment back in I used to do just drift really, if you want to go really back in the day, my 240. And I've been in multiple oh shit moments in massive trains. 9-car trains do not bother me. That's why I was one of the guys at Fuel Fest Erndale going like everyone, because I know if shit's gonna go wild, I know bail. Just get out of the way. Get the fuck out of the way of everyone,
Yeah.
and as quickly as humanly possible, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I've actually never been in an accident in a train before that.
Gotcha. Okay.
So anyways, I see that. And then now here's the thing that caused the accident to begin with. I was flooring it and then I realized he was slowing it. I lifted and my brain pulled the e-brake. But what I did not realize is I floored the foot brake too. And I did not, even at the time, I did not even know I was hitting the foot brake. My brain only told me pull the e-brake, do a fucking backy. Like, so drift backwards so you can get away from it, right? But my reaction was to stomp on the foot brake. So what happened was I locked the front and the car just, because if you actually watch my video, it's like 4 seconds of boom. And and at the time, I swear to God, I didn't. And this is what I could tell you. You could tell me right now. Well, I wouldn't have locked the foot brakes. You're right.
No. I'm not saying anything.
No. But I mean, you could say that because that was my mistake. Yeah. My only mistake that I made, and I will fight anyone who says otherwise, was that I locked my fronts up. That's 100% my fault, and that you could argue that caused the accident, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
You could argue, and my part in it, I should say, my part in the accident was that I locked the fronts and I hit him, right?
Yeah, but everybody's gonna fuck up sometimes. Though.
And no, here's the thing,
it happened
right?
to be you that day, but you didn't. It's not like you started.
I didn't want to be in that group, so the other thing too is I told Chris I only wanted to drive with him. That was my instructions before he went on the track. This is our second lap out. I did not expect there to even be in a car in front of Chris. So keep that in mind. I did not know. And the other thing that guy, I'm gonna tell you right now, this can go online. He lied. The guy who I hit, he lied. He straight up lied. Because if you watch my video, it proves everything he's saying is a lie. Because he says the guy at the line told us to stop. And if you think that's true, watch my video. The guy, the line guy, the guy in the line who's guiding everyone is just standing there. And if you think I'm lying, you can watch my video. It shows the guy just staring at us as we're driving by.
Not giving like
no instructions, zero instructions to us, zero.
Gotcha.
So he says that guy was stopping us. That's what his story says. So again, someone who doesn't know any of these drivers. And then now here's the last bit. This is what I was saying. Remember how I told you in order to drift that course, and you understand why none of the Lone Star Drift guys got involved. There's a reason why. And I've talked to a few, I won't say who, but I've talked to a few people about the whole situation. And the reason why
Mm.
I'm not banned from any Lone Star events. Like, did you hear him say I was banned? Because I'm not. I just
Why would you be?
no, but
It's
I
a
won't
drift
go
event.
back there until my name has been rectified as me winning. But so what essentially happened, and there's a group chat that I was a part of that I just left because they just started dogging on me because I was the piece of shit. Someone said something which is a little bit of a hint if you pull up the footage from Fuel Fest, Texas, is you're not supposed to manji the straight.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think the kid was trying to do?
Manja is straight.
Right in front of two pro level Mustangs.
Gotcha.
So the reason why the accident happened and why he was coming to a stop is he goes enter, goes back, and think about it. If you're going to manji, you're going to what? Lift, what? And that's why Chris hit him to initiate. Because Chris
Mm.
expected him to be flooring it like we were. Instead, he
Correct.
lifted, Chris hit him, I locked up the fronts and rammed him. Right?
Gotcha.
So, and then I only knew this way after, like 2 days later when I was watching the footage. And yeah, all the guys were manjiing who weren't like high level drivers. He wasn't one of the high level drivers.
Mm.
But I mean, that's my opinion of the matter. I mean, like I said, I did make a huge catastrophic mistake that I locked up the fronts, and if I didn't lock up fronts, I would have never hit him, never, never in a million years. But
Yeah.
I don't want to get anyone else involved. But I was talking to someone, and it also this event actually realized the difference between someone who's a pro competitor and someone who's not, because I can let you know everyone who competes called me because it was a bad hit, and I thought it was done. I thought that car was gone because the car wasn't starting. So I thought the engine was done, everything was done. So I was like, I can't afford to rebuild this car. So
I know. I saw your rage quit post, and I was like, "Don't do that."
yeah, so a lot of people hit me up, and they were just like, shit happens. And then I was even talking to someone for a long time, and I was
Mm.
even saying, I don't know what happened. I pulled the e-brake, but the car wouldn't spin. And then someone finally posted the out car footage, and then I see my fronts locked up. That was the first moment I realized I locked up the fronts. That's
Yeah. But it's a moment of panic, and it's an honest mistake. It's not like you were like, "Fuck this guy, I'm gonna hit him."
no,
I
but
think that's what people like take. That's how they treated you as.
that's how
Yeah.
the kids treat. No one who's an adult, well, except for one person who I fucking will never talk to again. I got told he's a piece of shit. But anyway,
Some people are just wild. Yeah.
yeah, but no, I mean, yeah, yeah, no, like I said, my fault is for sure locking up the fronts because yeah, it was nearly
Mm.
4 seconds of nothing, and then I ram into him, and then yeah, if I would have never touched the front brakes, I would have just completely missed him, 100% missed him. Like there would have been no damage to either of our cars. Well, Chris had already
Yeah.
hit him, so he already had damage. Um,
Gotcha.
and then to make matters worse, um, Chris, I didn't want to talk to the guy because I was pretty angry. But Chris, the moment it happened, he ran up to him and says, "Let's make this right. Let's make this right." The moment it happened, this is when Chris's car is even wrecked too. So
Oh,
Chris
gotcha.
runs up to him, "Let's make this right. Let's make this right." And then Chris gave him his details and everything and all this other thing. Let's make this right. And he went to the internet before he even contacted Chris.
Ah, gotcha.
And I don't know if he even said this, and you probably don't know this, and a lot of viewers don't know this. Chris bought him a brand new car.
Damn.
And that post is still up on his Instagram.
Of like this
Talking
guy's
shit and like,
dickhead.
yeah. Calling both Chris
Well,
and me assholes. And Chris, like, and do you think Chris deserved to buy him a new car? Or even me?
deserved, I would say, or was obligated to. I don't think so.
No, because
I
here's the thing.
think, in my personal opinion, before you continue,
Sure.
is if this is like a contact sport, it is. And if you're going out there now, granted, not everyone is going to think that um, they're going to get plowed into. I mean, let's call it what it is. It's not, but it's not like a fault thing. Like you did it deliberately. If you went out there and you were like, "Fuck this guy, I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
fuck up both our cars," I get it. But an accident's an accident, and especially if you try to make it right with somebody and they're gonna be a snob about it. I'll be the first person to tell you, like, because I'm the same way. Like, oh, let's take care of it. But if you go out there and you start shitting on me, I'll be like, oh, you can suck my ass now because I'm not gonna do anything. Like, I would have helped you. I would have rebuilt it. I would have had your frame pulled. Whatever. I can't afford to buy somebody a new car, but I would have did something, right?
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as you start shitting on me, we're like, oh, okay, well, fuck you and everybody else then.
Yeah. No, I
If
mean,
that's how you want to handle it,
no,
that's
no, no.
fine.
So I can actually
Yeah.
speak. So I won't even speak from theoretical. I'll speak from actual experience.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a drifter who doesn't drive anymore. I don't even remember his name. But remember, I told you I used to bail out of when I knew I wasn't going to make it. So we were doing a
Mm-hmm.
Just Drift event
Mm-hmm.
back in 2010, I think 2009, 2010, or 2011.
Mm-hmm.
And I bailed because I knew I wasn't going to make the corner, the downhill corner, in my 240. And this guy, so I went off track on purpose. Like I legitimately pulled the e-brake and said, okay, I'm gonna go off track because I know there's 7 cars behind me. This guy followed me off the track. He was at the time a better driver than me. So I was like, there was
Mm-hmm.
no reason for him to follow me off the track. But he fully followed me off the track. His rear end completely swiped my whole front end. And this was a Sil 80. So he obliterated both my Silvia front ends, my S13 headlights, and they were the box ones. Not the shitty
Mm-hmm.
ones. You know which ones I'm talking about. The expensive ones that everyone wants. Now they
Last
think they go
ones.
for $1,000. Destroyed my body kit, destroyed my front suspension, and took out my radiator and took out my whole front end. Right.
Yikes.
The only thing I asked him is like, do you have any spares I could borrow for the day and I'll pay you for them? That was my only conversation with him. I was angry about the situation, but my only you know what his response was? Like, no, I don't have anything. That's it. He didn't say sorry or nothing. Right. And someone else let me borrow some control arms. But
Gotcha.
but that's what I mean. That was my only expectation. Like, hey, do you have something I can borrow? I'll buy off of you. I didn't even say like, give me a bro. And he didn't even
Yeah.
apologize either. And nor did I ask for one. I didn't say, at least you could apologize to me. And you know my size, I'm not a small guy. So I'm
No, no, no.
also like, if I wanted to be an asshole, I could be an asshole. But I mean, that was my experience. Is like, and this is back in the day. And you want to go even further back. I've been rammed by a pro D1NZ driver when I grew up in New Zealand. I've been hit really hard. And I was broke back then. I didn't have any money. You know what my first thought was? I'm on the racetrack. That was my
Yeah.
very first
Yeah.
thought
That's
is I'm on the racetrack. Like that's what I get for being on the racetrack. So
Yeah, that's how I feel about it. I have that mentality where it's like this, what the possibilities could happen, and not everyone's gonna. Some people might be like, "Hey, let me take care of this," and
no. And that happened
I'm not gonna
too.
go shit on them.
That Jimmy Up event,
Yeah.
I was trying to keep with margaritas because we were cutting lines, and he had that Bose Suzuki exhaust like 4 feet beyond the car. I didn't see it, and I hit it, and he started
Margarita said that.
what?
Margarita said that.
No. Some random guy. I hit his exhaust, and I bent it.
Oh shit. Oh okay.
And he got all conversation with me. He was like, "This guy's a piece of shit." Da, 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 da. I was like, "Hey, dude, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I didn't even know it was there." And I said, "Hey, and he still continued. Again, I came over there to make it right, and I bought him a new exhaust. And he was still
Yeah.
like confrontational with me, which was the weirdest thing in the world. Because immediately, as soon as the event happened, we got off the track. My first thing was to run over to his pit and say, and I hadn't even opened my mouth at this point. He started fucking getting at me like, like being a bitch. And as soon as he let me talk, I go, yeah, dude. I mean, yeah, I understand. I wrecked your expensive exhaust. I'm in a brand new 2020 Mustang. I understand what it is to have an expensive car. So let
Yeah.
me make it right. And I bought it for him. End of story. So I mean, the thing is, I also agree that when shit happens, that was a mistake by my part. I'll pay for it. But I mean,
Yeah.
it's just so bullshit because that kid with the purple 240, the damage accrued to my car, I could probably buy 4 of his cars.
Yeah.
So what I should have been an asshole and said, hey, let's split the damage. I'll give you my bill. You give me your bill. We'll split it straight in half. Deal?
Yeah.
So it's just like, anyways, but that's what got me really angry is that he went. I wasn't going to say anything when the thing happened, and then he
Mhm.
decided to go and fucking make it a public.
Post about it. Yeah.
And
I hear you.
it just shit happens, man. It just what sucks
Well.
though. It is the first time I've ever hit anyone in drifting.
Oh really?
Yeah. I've never,
Oh yeah,
I've
that's
tandem
crazy.
tapped, like this with the wheel rub.
Uh-huh.
I've never hit anyone ever in my entire career.
Like blatantly hit them the way.
No,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
but hit,
Like
like hit,
actual
like
contact.
proper contact, like even
Yeah,
competitive proper I've never properly hit someone in a competitive setting
yeah.
properly.
Well, when you do it right, champ.
No, no, no. But I'm saying like
No.
I've never, and then that is the first time. And of course,
Mhm.
the internet's like, oh yeah, this guy doesn't know how to drive. It's my first time ever hitting someone ever in my entire life.
In your 15 years of driving, if not more, right?
Yeah, since '03. I've
And
been
then
drifting since
everyone.
'03.
Oh
So
wow, 20 years.
yeah, so
That was this year, right?
yes,
Or
it
was
was
it
this year. Yeah,
2022?
yeah, it was
It was
this
this
year.
year. Okay, that's what I thought.
But
Yeah.
yeah, no, and then that, and then the Casey thing.
Damn, you drive for 20 years and you hit fucking somebody one time, and then all of a sudden you're the world's biggest piece of shit.
But
That's funny.
because I was in a Mustang, and you know what I think it is?
Hey.
I think it's the Mustang part, and I think it's the part that a lot of people think I'm rich. I get that. I get that feeling from some of the pro am guys, not pro am guys, some of the kids, I should
They
say.
probably just kind of wish they had what you had. I'm
No,
not
no, that's what
saying
I
that.
mean. So they see me with a brand
Yeah.
new car, and they're like, "Well, fuck this guy,
Yeah. But they don't. I think sometimes people don't realize what it takes to make that happen.
dude." You've seen me in person. I work with my hands. Like
Hmm.
every dollar. I don't have rich family. Like there are drifters we know
Yeah.
that have not worked a single day of their life and can do whatever they want. Right. I,
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
come from a
And
poor
more
family.
power too.
Every dollar I
That
have was made by my own two hands.
makes two of us. So
But they don't
I
know that.
get
They
it.
don't know me. And I've told you this too before. Like how many. I don't know if I told you this. I may have said this at the party. There's a lot of people I know of in the scene that, regardless of this car accident, that don't like me because they think because they've only had like one interaction with me and they think, well, fuck that guy. There's even
Hmm.
certain people who are actually now my friend who finally gave me a chance and talked to me more. And they're like, oh, this guy is just
Oh,
silly.
you're all right. Yeah,
I
yeah.
just don't think
Got
the
it.
thing is, I think my assumption is people think I take myself serious. That's what I think a lot of people think when I say stuff like I'm going to beat you, I'm going to be the greatest driver in the world. Like when I make that pro
Yeah.
wrestling video, I think some people legitimately think I think that. And once you know me, you realize I do not take myself serious. In fact, I see myself as a joke. And I hope you're laughing with me and not at me. Because
Yeah.
yeah, it's just that's how I see it. I know for a fact I've rubbed quite a few people the wrong way. Because I know they avoid me
I
like the plague.
I think that's just kind of the scene itself. It's always been like that since I've been into it. There's people that I've seen, we've made constant eye contact at every event I've ever been to, just even attending, driving, whatever that is, and we just don't speak. Like we know who each other are, we know of each other, we know each other exists, but we'll never talk. But I'm also not the type of person that wants to be everybody's friend. Um,
Oh, me neither. I don't
yeah,
try to.
yeah.
I don't try to go other people's way. People don't want to talk to me.
Sober me is very introverted. Drunk me, that was there Saturday, is a social little butterfly.
So I'm
And
glad we didn't talk much when I got that. Because I haven't drinking in 12 years.
oh,
I don't
that's
drink. So,
yeah.
let's just say after you had probably left, I got even more drunk, and made.
I was there till 2:30.
I was there until we closed. They had kicked us out.
Yeah, that was me. Everybody was pulling out, and I was like asleep in my truck.
Oh yeah, no, I was still one of the guys who was you probably heard in the background yelling and stuff. I made
Yeah,
not
it was a
yet angry
mess.
yelling like me talking, but talking loudly. Like, but I will say,
I was there for like 2 hours trying to sober up.
I will say, I've never met Cameron Moore before, but I hope he remembers me because I had a lot of fun with.
Yeah, he was a good time.
Yeah, dude,
He
he
was a
was
great
really
time.
fun. Like him and Jeff are a really good time. Like,
Yeah,
but Jeff's
they
always
were
a good time. Every
definitely.
time I've been with Jeff, he's always a good time. Like he's one of those persons that like I don't like being around drinking a lot because I have a
Hmm.
background with that with family. But he's the one person that I don't care whether he's sober or drunk, he's always a happy person to be around.
A good time. Yeah.
So,
Actually, Jeff was the first person that like, because he's so normal. Like to me, when I knew when this happened, we went to go get Korean barbecue after FD or Wendell. I don't remember which. I might have been 18 or 19. Um, anyways, I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna go get Korean barbecue with one of my friends." He's like, "Oh, we want to go," and then Jeff showed up. And I was like, "Oh," and then he just treats you like fucking normal. I was like, "Oh, he's a nice person."
No, he's
And then he judged for the Drift League too.
yeah. No, I remember that. That's what I joke about with him is whenever we hang out, I go, now we're like buddy buddy, but it's like, dude, you realize we met like a decade before, but he doesn't remember.
Oh, really? Oh, nice. That's
But
funny.
I was 100 pounds lighter then, so he may be probably
Oh, word.
yeah, I was actually skinny back then. But yeah, that's the joke I always say. But I was like, yeah, we've met like a decade prior. You don't remember a single thing. Taka remembers me. He's the only one that remembers me from like 12, 13 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's the only one. Oh, and Charlie, and Jason Kim.
Oh, okay.
Jason
Sweet.
Kim remembers me.
I
Um,
know they gave Jason Kim the gatekeeper fucking title.
dude, I don't know what the hell's going on, dude. He's just maybe he's rusty. I was fully expecting him to just basically destroy all of us.
I think the level of driving has increased as far as skill goes from all the drivers. Um, a lot of these drivers are also on sim now.
Mhm.
That's helpful. Your people are able to put 20 years of experience behind the wheel in a year. I mean, that's far fetched. I'm over exaggerating, but it is. That's what a lot of people have done,
Mhm.
and they did so well. I will say that before I got a sim, I don't have one right now. I got rid of it, but before I got a sim, I was terrible, and then I got a sim, and I learned how to get that done. But it did transfer over to the point where I wasn't like spinning out every lap anymore. I was able to actually run like a proper line, use all the tools necessary, whether it's a handbrake, clutch kick, whatever, to get through any course. Does it take me most of the day? Like I'm not warmed up until the afternoon. Yeah, but it's still it's something that I don't think I ever would have achieved without using it. And it had a shitty setup too, like the shittiest setup. I think I had like a G27 setup.
Yeah, I just haven't had money. I will tell you, the economy's been really bad right now. But
If you're doing performance vehicles, yeah, here you
oh no,
so.
I do most of my money right now is I used to do performance vehicle. Now I do auto repair, just generic auto repair.
Oh, just auto par. So I do fire alarm stuff. Like that's what my main job, but I take on cars on the side. But those have kind of helped, but those aren't. It's getting to the point where they're not worth the money to work on them anymore.
Just so you know, I have turned down $40,000 cash just for the labor. I will not do it anymore. I will
Yeah,
not
it's
do swaps. I will not do project cars. I will do bolt-ons. That's why I always tell people I used to be famous for Supras. Now when they
oh
call
really?
me, I just say, I don't care who you go to, bye. Like there is 3 Supras I still work on. That's it. And the reason why is they're very rich, extremely rich, and they don't ask questions. They drop the car off, they say this is what's wrong with it, and then they call me when I call them when it's done. And then they pay, they don't even look at the bill.
Yeah, that's the problem I have right now. Like I just finished a GTO and I tallied everything up I've done to it, which is pretty much a build, ground up build rather, like all the suspension, bushings, all that fun stuff. Um, and we took it to the dyno and it slipped. The trans slipped. So, but a long story short, this project snowballed from he found the motor for like $500. He found an LS2. It was a mystery motor. So he's like, and I owed him something. So I was like, I'll tear the motor down and we'll see what's wrong with it. And, I'll let you know. So we found a whole bunch of stuff and then we rebuilt it. So we were clean there. And then he's like, hey, I found this GTO. It's missing a motor for like 2 grand. He's like, can you put it together for me? I was like,
And we're talking about the original
sure.
GTO, right? Or the current?
No, it's a '06.
Oh, okay.
'06, yeah. I was like, yeah, I could do that. And then it snowballed into a nitrous car, uh, coilovers, all of the bushings. Um, what else did we do to it? and then not just like a simple nitrous setup. Like this thing has a bottle opener. It has its its own fuel system, like an independent fuel system for the nitrous. It's it's got a pretty big cam in it, so we had to throw in a torque converter and all that stuff. And be mindful, we still had no idea what was going to happen with the transmission. It was still a mystery. So I finally got it working. Never worked on a fucking GTO before, by the way. So but I had so much time. I only charged him when I thought the time was going to take me. I didn't charge him for all of the research I had to do to get the car together. And that's where I fucked myself. So now I'm waiting for a belt that comes Thursday. And I have to give him the bad news that if he wants me to pull this car back apart to finish it, that his bill's going to be $3,500, and that doesn't include any parts or that rebuild fee from the transmission job.
Let me tell you something, and this is why, first off, I would tell you project cars for anyone but you, for yourself. Never do it. You know what works and makes money, and where we get confused, you and me, people like you and me get confused on, is you see people like Hennessy and Shelby. Well, they made billions of dollars doing that. Why can't I? Here's the difference. They do a package. You can't
Correct.
modify that package. You can't call them and say, by the way, I also want nitrous on top of my twin turbo Viper. Oh, by the way, I also want, like, here's a perfect example. Look at Hennessy, money wise, and then look at the guy who's really famous for Vipers. What is his name? The guy who always wins all the Viper. He has the world's fastest Viper. Anyways, there's another
Oh,
shop.
I don't know anything
Well, anyways, there's
about.
another shop that's got the most powerful Viper on planet Earth. And they also
Mm-hmm.
maintain all of the most powerful Vipers on planet Earth. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Look at how much money he has. Look at how much money Hennessy has. Hennessy has way more money than that guy does. Shelby, before he sold the company, has way more money than any like famous race shop. There's a reason why Top Secret went out of business. By the way, I was trained by one of the guys who ran Top Secret.
Mm-hmm.
Soichi is his name. But there's a reason why those companies aren't around anymore. There's a reason why HKS is pretty much a defunct company at this point, right? All
Mm.
these companies are Blitz is pretty much defunct now. All these companies are defunct because what they did was they say, hey, yeah, we do Skylines. What do we do to Skylines? We just do Skylines. So bring us a Skyline, we'll build you a Skyline. You know, stuff like that. You know, oh, we do Supras. We do Supras. Rad Dan, he's not balling out of control. Now he can, and he even says in interviews, he transitioned to parts, and now he's like, I'm doing very well. And he's like, exactly. And he pretty much doesn't
Yeah.
even build people's cars anymore. That's why I tell
Yeah.
everyone parts of the thing. But anyways, going back to what it is, you can make a lot of money. So like Helion, the company I work with for my car, they make turbo kits. That's
Mm-hmm.
it. They don't fucking like, they have a kit that they built. They will build you that kit. If you call them and say, by the way, I need you to modify that, they'll be like, we
No.
make this kit. You can buy it from us. Otherwise, go fuck yourself. We have
Yeah.
700 customer orders already placed. I don't need your money. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Helion, this time in 10 years, will probably be worth even more money. He's going to make more. Jeff, the owner, is going to make more and more. Or John or Jeff, I forgot.
He's perfected what works, and
But
that
he's
makes
he's
sense.
doing kits. So yeah, if you're building a GTO, if you only do GTOs, right, and you
Mm-hmm.
only do nitrous GTOs, you're going to make a lot of money. But if you do what you're doing now and do what I've done for the past 10 years before I finally said fuck it, is I know Supras, I know Skylines. So when someone calls me the Skyline and tells me what they want, I guide them, I sort of help them out, and then I do it. But the thing is, no one build is the same, right? Because even like the one that I'm always famous for, that everyone always pulls up, because if you know about Supras, if you knew Supras, if you're into Supras, you'll know one single Supra. Everyone on planet Earth knows about this one Supra, and I think I showed you at Hot Pit that the blue Supra is what everyone in the world knows about. So someone will come to my shop, well, used to before I said fuck it, come to me and say, hey, I want a Supra. I like so and so Supra. Can you build me a Supra? But I want the Supra to have this. I want the Supra to have this. So he doesn't
Mm-hmm.
want that Supra. He wants his own Supra his own way. So even though I
Gotcha.
know how to build that one Supra, the only thing I really knew, the only thing at this point that relates to the two cars is that they're both the same car. there's nothing the same. Different exhaust manifold, different cams, different fucking
Yeah.
everything, and different point purpose of what the car is supposed to do. One's meant for big power, one's just meant for daily driving. So,
Yeah.
and then what you said already, you end up like thinking to yourself like, oh yeah, well I got really famous off the other one. Maybe if I do this one, I'll get even more famous. And then you think like, well, I'll just eat this time because I'm learning, right? But then you stop after a couple years of 10 years of doing it like me, and you think about it, and you think about every car you've ever done is a learning experience. So the actual time, average time you have on every car is 200 hours, and you charge them 40 because that's
Mm-hmm.
how long it physically took you to work on the car. You
Yeah.
physically worked on the car for 40 hours. But then how many hours did you find finding that one part you need? And then this is the other thing too, when people price out a car, and actually you saying $3,500 is actually the reason why, and it's not just you, it's everyone thinks that. And until the entire community of good mechanics and good builders gets together and understands what their time is worth, it'll continue being a point. Because you know what the conversation I used to have when I first started the L-Spec was people would come to me and say, hey, I want to do an SR20 swap. And
Hold that thought real quick. We were talking about that SR20
yeah,
that for L-Spec.
so a lot of people would come to my shop because I used to offer like a little kit, like when I first started, because obviously that's the way you make money because no one knows about you. So I used to offer
Yeah.
like a package deal. I'll do an SR20 swap back in 2012, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
And the price I charged was pretty close to what another shop charges that I actually trust. Well, I don't know if he still does it anymore, but there was a store near my shop that also did it, but he was on back. So if you went there right now and asked him for it, he'd tell you, well, at the time, he'd tell you like 2-year wait time, right? Something like that, right?
Oh wow.
So my price was pretty similar to him because I don't want to undercut him because I actually trusted his work. And I was like, if customers said, well, he's also that price, I would tell them, well, you should go to him then because he's good, right? I
Yeah.
wasn't trying to shortcut him. And then it was always like, hey, so and so says he can do it for cheaper, bro. Hey, my buddy says he can do it's easy, it bolts right in. And then I had a buddy who's hanging out in my shop one day, and I get this phone call. My hands were dirty, and I answered it on speaker. And he goes, hey, how much do you charge for putting? And remember, this is the days when I was desperate for money. So this is when I used to do swaps, and I needed the money. So he called me like,
Mm-hmm.
how much to put a VH45 in my 240? And I'm like, oh, it starts at like $2,500 cash, right? No, it's 2012, so it's obviously that's more money than it is now. Um, and I'm like, that starts at 2,500 if you just want the car started and running and driving. Doesn't include parts, doesn't include anything else. It's just labor, right? And then if you want anything additional besides it running, like the gauges working and stuff like that, it's going to be more money. And I don't know how much it's going to be because it's been years since I've done the H45 swap. And he goes, oh, bro, it just bolts right in. There's a kit. I'm like, okay, I'll put the engine in the car for $200. Put the engine. I will drop it into the car for $200. Deal. And he's like, well, will it run? It's like, no, you're asking me, will I put the engine in the car? Yeah, I'll put the engine in the car for $250. No problem. But it's like, do you want anything to work? Do you want it to start? Do you want
Yeah.
it to crank and start? Do you want it to have gas? Do you want it to have like, and then that's the biggest thing, like even you and me forget, right? Oh, perfect example. I'm doing the Link standalone and my Mustang. And you think when you're doing the price, right? You think, okay, the ECU, the harness, and then like a couple sensors, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then
You have to buy their sensors.
yeah. You have to buy additional sensors when you do a standalone. So you can't run the factory oxygen sensors. You have to run the Lynx oxygen sensors. And those are like $500 each.
Of course they are.
Um, and then the factory Mustang has a mass airflow sensor, which I don't know what the calibration file is for. So figuring that out would be a nightmare. So it's easier if I just use a map sensor from Link, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's not even the point, right? Did you factor in the wire? You might think to yourself, well, Alex, why would I factor in the wire? That's going to be like a couple. Do you want to know how much I spent in wiring alone? $200 just in wiring.
Yeah.
And I use the factory harness, by the way. So I didn't even use that much actual wire because the thing is, do you want to use cheap Harbor Freight wire on your $200,000 drift car? or proper
Exactly.
race harness. And then, oh, what about the connector? How are you going to connect the wires? Are you going to connect it with those little cheap AutoZone crimps? Or are you going to use the heat shrink one that melts, right? A packet of those is $100. All these little
Mm-hmm.
small stuff. Same with your project car with your buddy, right? I know you said that my actual nitrous system in my car has everything but the bottle opener. It has the seat, the bottle heater. I have a nitrous controller. I have so I mean, yeah. If we're just talking, oh yeah, just nitrous coyote, I would tell you it's $800-900 without labor, right? Because that's the kit. That doesn't include the nitrous controller. That doesn't include the nitrous heater. That doesn't include
Yeah.
the nitrous bracket because the factory one. Oh, by the way, that's another learning that this thing both you and me have to experience is we have to learn. So you learned with the transmission, right? Well, guess what? I
Yep.
had to learn at Erindale round one this year. Not even me. Forget about me. Me, TJ Hunt, and Sean. People who should know more than me, right? You think Sean? I don't know if it was last name. The guy who has the Z, the black Z.
Sean Ellingsworth.
Sean Ellingsworth. Yeah, even him. All three of those guys had to learn something. When you're on the bank sitting like this, and then also when you have it was a 48-second course, and you're spraying nitrous, and a lot of the course is full throttle, the bottle's 1,100 foot-pound, 1,100 psi, and you start, and then mid-track, you're 600 psi. So now you're blowing rich. You're just blowing fuel. So everyone who was running nitrous at Irondale was actually down 200, half their 50% horsepower because not only did they lose their nitrous, they also bogged down the engine by blowing fuel into it. So I also learned my bottle was on an angle and all of their bottles were on an angle too. So the liquid was sloshing. So as you transition to one part, no nitrous, nitrous back on. And I overheard the conversation, him, Sean, and TJ. And I was listening to him and was like, yeah, I'm dealing with the same issue. As I transition, my nitrous is shutting off and on. And what I realized is your nitrous bottle for a drift car has to be straight up and down or on an angle,
Correct.
like
Yep.
RTR. But I mean, learning
And
like
it actually has to be facing, because you know how it has the
yeah,
thing inside. It has to be facing towards the back.
yeah, exactly.
So
So
the label, the face needs to face forward.
yeah, exactly.
If I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's all learning experience, and then also what I experienced during the hot heat wave we had at Hot Pit. Would you ever think of your bottle overpressurizing so much the solenoid won't open up?
What solenoid?
The
The
solenoid
nitrous
to
solenoid?
actually inject the nitrous into the car
Oh, so the nitrous solenoid wouldn't
open because
operate?
the back pressure was so high. Because it was so
Oh
hot
shit.
for round 3, just sitting and letting the car get up to temperature for that first 5 minutes made the
Uh-huh.
bottle's temperature go to like 1900 psi.
Oh
So my
shit.
purge valve wasn't even opening. And we started diagnosing it in the pits, trying to figure out my purge valve may have broke, right? That's what we thought. But then I realized I looked at the bottle pressure. The bottle pressure was nearly 2000. So we had to literally put the bottles on ice. I don't have a heat sent thing in my car anymore. So I only put that in for winter now. Because
Oh, the heater.
yeah, the bottle heater. Because we had for the 2 rounds I used nitrous, I had to put all my bottles in the ice, which is something. Would you
Have you ever looked?
think to do that?
No. Have you ever looked into that nano system?
The what system?
The nano nitrous system.
Mm,
Look it up. It's amazing.
I'll have to look it up.
It's not cheap. It's like $600 per bottle. But basically, the way it works, it says it's not a pusher system. I don't fucking know how it actually works because I haven't really. They didn't really explain it, or maybe I didn't find a video that did. But essentially, it's a system that you add to your nitrous bottle. You actually have to pull the valve out of your nitrous bottle and you put this one in. But basically, it's kind of like a nitrogen can. I don't know if it's nitrogen. I could be wrong. It's some type of compressed gas in there that essentially gets that pressurizes the system. This way, you actually use every single bit of your nitrous, because you know when you get to the end of your nitrous bottle, there's usually like a pound in there that you couldn't get out. This one uses 100% of it.
Mm.
I need to hit
I think I know
that. Might
exactly what you're talking about. It's a mechanical pump that like pumps it in.
It's not. No, it's not a pump. You'll see it.
I have to look
It's
it up. But I mean, either
yeah.
way,
It comes. You get a whole like other cylinder with it and everything.
I'm not going to stick with nitrous. There's no way. I will never stick with
Really?
no.
I can't. I don't. Every time I see some like the supercharger guys, like with their belt slip issues,
That's
and
why I want to go
9 out of
turbo.
yeah, I turbo is I want I don't understand why people don't go turbo more often on the V8s. Who else is turbo? I don't think anybody
No, no, no.
since Dye has left.
So this is why the argument, whenever I say I'm going to go turbo, I always get in an argument with everyone. It's
Oh, Jonathan
because
Cash. I'm sorry.
no. It's because they always think LS turbo. Remember what I said? How many psi I have to make X amount of horsepower? How
Mm-hmm.
much? You're an LS guy. Big fuck it. Let's do a big block LS. Let's talk 427, whatever, 415, whatever the big one from Chevy Performance, right? Let's say you have that.
I was gonna. They don't make big block LSs, but
You know what I mean? Like the race. Let's say you get a race.
like the 7 liter or something. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Let's say you have a 7 liter block
Okay.
and you're whatever turbos you want. How
Okay.
much boost do you need to put on that engine with unlimited? I give you a blank check. I'm a billionaire. I want 1,000 horsepower reliable, but it's a drift car, so technically you have to build the car to 1,500 horsepower for it to be 1,000 horsepower. So
Mm-hmm.
how many pounds of boost do you have to?
I have no idea. I'm not a boost
The
guy.
answer is I have yet to meet anyone who can argue on. Then actually, let me change my. I have yet to see anyone who can show me proof that this is true, that otherwise is true, but it's a minimum of 20 pounds of boost. You're going to have
I
at
would say that.
least
I
20
would
pounds.
say that sounds about right because everybody seems to be around 20 pounds
Well, 28 pounds
on their
plus.
LS.
No one's below 28 pounds that I know of. I've never met anyone below 28 pounds, but I'm saying we're talking about like $1 billion build, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
let's
It's not gonna be
assume you
cheap.
have high compression 14-1 pistons with a Motec computer system, fucking most expensive heads known to man, most expensive cam, valve
Mm-hmm.
train, everything, right? You're still going to be running like 20, 28 pounds of boost.
Mm-hmm.
So the problem with 20, 28 pounds of boost is you do have boost lag because you have to make the turbo make 28 pounds of boost. I only need to be competitive in pro spec 8 pounds of boost
Oh,
max.
that's great.
So I have to wait for 8 pounds. Dude,
That's it.
the fucking WRX makes fucking 22 pounds at 4,000 RPM.
I also know like a lot of guys who are running nitrous on the low end, or even like a 25 shot
Well,
just to keep
those
up.
are all the 2J guys. So,
Okay, so skip
what's his
yeah.
name? So Osbo's, all of Papadakis' team uses nitrous to bring their turbo on.
Mm-hmm.
James Dean, the S15, they use nitrous to bring the turbo on.
Oh,
Um,
so did Dan.
yeah, almost everyone uses
Radical
nitrous, but
Daniel.
you got to remember
Mhm.
they don't. So here's the biggest thing. The reason why I'm actually kind of a Coyote guy for life. The volumetric efficiency of the Coyote is higher than any other engine you can buy.
Mhm.
So the amount of The amount of air. So we can produce more power per volume of air than any other engine.
Oh, okay.
So there's no engine that produces the amount of power we get with a volume of air. So because it's easier to explain if you look at a VE table on a standalone. Our VE table looks like no other engine. It's all positive
Gotcha.
numbers.
Gotcha.
Well, most cars are like maybe 110 max. I think my engine goes up to like 142 volumetric efficiency, so 140%. So it's 42% over what's theoretically supposed to be normal, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know the exact numbers, but I just know our engine is the most volumetric efficient engine you can buy in the market right now. So my whole idea why I think turbo will work just fine for me is because I really won't have lag. I mean, there might be the input lag of like off throttle, on, off. But the thing is, I've learned how to drift in an SR. So
Mhm.
I actually would be better for my driving style if I had a turbo car anyways, because I'm used to doing with, you know who Kazama is, right? One of the OG Japanese drifter.
I know of him, yeah.
Yeah. If you look up
I
his,
don't follow Japanese drifting at all,
no, he's
though.
one of the first
Okay.
ones ever.
Uh-huh.
And you watch in-car of his videos because he used to competitively drift with an SR. You look at him, even when he was
He's
clutch
always
in,
keeping it.
and you watch James Dean. Watch James Dean drive in car at Long Beach. He's used the turbos, so he's clutch in doing that, but it's flooding the fucking engine. So they had to tell him, hey, it's nitrous engine is on or off. And if you listen to me with nitrous, it's the same way. You hear me either on or off. And there's a downside
Mhm.
to that too. With an all nitrous engine, the downside is you have to kind of be perfect in your input, which is, I think, what's hurting RTR, is because you have to be perfect in your input so you can floor it all the way. Because you don't have a perfect input, you can't really modulate nitrous. You can, but not to the degree of like a supercharger can. And then the reason
Yeah.
why RTR doesn't do supercharge is for what you just said. Why I don't think I will ever do supercharge is because my crank will snap, the belt will break off. There's so many things, and then you have like you're not if you don't want the crank to snap off, you can do it like what Elliot has. Then look at he's going through a belt every event minimum. So
Yeah.
the turbo, I know we'll see. We really will see because I'm gonna do it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts.
Yeah,
But
you already made up your mind.
but yeah, nitrous scares the shit out of me, to be completely honest. I've heard so many horror stories. Every engine at the drag strip, I used to do dragging really when I was really young, like 16. I used to do drag racing, and in my piece of shit car. And every explosion I've seen at the drag strip has been nitrous. I've never seen a turbo car blow up. I've never seen I've seen a burnout blower car blow up, but I've never seen a turbo car on the line launch and then explode. I've seen drive shaft come out of a turbo car because it made so much power. But yeah,
Yeah.
nitrous cars, I have seen them launch, engine explodes because nitrous backfire. Have you heard of a turbo backfire that blew up an engine? Turbo backfire is just nice flames. So
It looks cool. Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, nitrous
Yeah.
backfire. I mean, dude, that took fucking Osbo out of the competition the first year they had that car. They had 3 nitrous backfires that blew out their intake.
Oh, that's right. I do remember that.
Because they use nitrous to
So
bring in the turbo.
they ended up making like a whole billet intake.
And just so we're clear, too, this is another thing to keep in mind. The only reason that Papadakis runs a turbocharged car is because they're required to run the factory engine because Toyota pays the bills. That's
Correct.
why the
I'm
Corolla.
surprised they don't put like the NASCAR V8s in there.
Well, that's what I'm saying, though. Like, they don't want them to. They want them, the contract says they want them to run the factory engine. So they want them to
That
run.
makes
That's why the
sense
Corolla
because they're
still
trying to
has a 4
sell it.
cylinder.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, Osmo even still has like the stock steering column.
No, it doesn't.
Well, when they originally built it,
Oh,
it was
yeah.
set up like that.
But
Is it changed now? Probably.
yeah, but no. So that the only reason why they ran a B58 is because Toyota said, "Hey, we're paying you like millions of dollars. We need you to show the public that the B58 actually is a powerful engine." And that engine inside Papadakis' car is so fucking far from what a factory B58 is, dude. For you to call that a B58, you're a lying piece of shit.
Even the 2AR is pretty wild.
Oh, that one's insane, dude. I learned
The
so
2AR
much.
is the wild.
Watched some in car as a tuner. I used to be a dyno tuner too. It's like as a dyno tuner, watching what they did to Ryan Turk's car. You watch old in car. I don't think they show it now, but they did back in 2013. It was in car when Oswald was driving the Scion because it's the same car just with a new shell. I mean, a new front end. It's the Scion. It's the same car.
Is it? Oh.
Yeah, it's just a Scion with like a Corolla front end. At least that's what I think it is. I could be wrong. So here's something that's crazy what you never thought about, right? So you have a 2-liter 4-cylinder, right? You're going to have turbo lag because they have a massive turbo, right? And nitrous really won't pull you into turbo that quickly. And you think about it in drifting, you're going to lift, right? Mm-hmm. So you know what they did? Go watch in-car footage. So they had a button that they would hit when they pulled to the line. The idle would jump to 4,000 RPM.
Oh, wow.
So idle was 4,000.
I was always wondering why it would shoot up so high.
And then they had the fucking air injection system. So off throttle, the blow off valve would throw fresh air into the exhaust to the turbo to spool the turbo up. And then they would fire on the off strokes. So they'd be doing backfires on off throttle. So as Osbo was driving, he'd be behind, let's say we're at the wall, right? Because this is when the in-car footage. So he'd hit the button. The car would start revving, idling at 4,000 RPM. And this particular battle, he's behind Chris Forsberg. Goes behind him, start drifting. Forsberg chokes up. You hear it off, and it keeps the boost. You can see the boost still like 20 pounds. He's off throttle, pulling the e-brake, back on throttle. He's still making 20 pounds. So the whole time he's modulating the throttle, the whole time he's making 20 pounds. And then the second the run's over, you see him hit the button, and the idle drops to normal. So it's just the Papadakis racing and RTR that there's fucking like I said to someone else, like Adam not winning his very first event with RTR made me happy because it meant it's not just money. It's mostly the driver. The
Yeah.
driver is the majority, regardless of how good money you have and how good of a car you have. It's majority the money.
Yeah.
Because, and a perfect example is Simon Olsen. Simon Olsen, look at him in his other car. He was a bottom 32 at best. And then all of a sudden, but the thing is, you look at his performance over in Europe, he's a different driver in Europe. He's like, fucking, this guy's really good. But over here, he sucks. What the hell's going
Yeah.
on? And he signs
Not
with
this year, at
Odie,
least.
and then he's
Yeah.
in contention for the entire championship. So
Yeah, that's why.
it makes you think. And you want a perfect example? Trenton Beecham. Did you see Utah? You watch Utah, the pro in Utah?
Hmm.
Would you have ever thought, like from what you've seen of Trenton in pro, not in prospect, but what you've seen Trenton Beecham do in pro, would you expect the results he got at Utah? Because he was
In the
driving like,
car, yeah.
but he looked like it was someone else driving the car. So
I watched Trenton get his license
no, 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 no,
for
no, no,
Pro
no.
2. So, like, I know what he's capable
That's
of
what I'm saying.
driving.
But if you watch,
That Mustang, he changed the way he drove.
oh no, no,
And
no.
right now,
I know. He's a
yeah,
good driver. What I'm saying though is, if you didn't know him, because I've met him many years before, if
yeah,
you just watched his performance in pro, and
based off the
I haven't talked
Mustang.
to him yet, but I've heard from people who were talking to him, the main thing that changed this round at Utah is they fixed the setup. The whole setup, the car is now easy to drive for him. He's not fighting the car anymore. So, how many drivers in
Uh,
pro and pro spec are fighting the car? That's my question to you.
oh, probably more than half the field.
I would say 80%. I'd say 80% of the field.
You think so? I don't know if it's going to be 80. Well, some of them are fighting it better than others, clearly. Because some guys don't have any problem. But I would say I don't know if he was fighting the car earlier this year. I thought he was just learning it because he just finished his car. We're talking about Trenton, right?
Yeah.
Um, but the reason I said like I don't like it doesn't surprise me he's doing well now. I mean, we're 7 rounds in. Um, he hasn't really driven the car outside of FD, from my understanding, too much, and it's a brand new build. But they also just found like a couple hundred horsepower. Doing I don't know what the setup was or what the fuck happened, but they're able to get more power out of it. But he's driving the E46 the way he used to drive his 240,
Mm.
like when he won his license. I think he won like 3 of the events at Just Drift that year. I know he podiumed for sure 3 events, um, but I do remember him winning his license. And but I remember he was really good, and then he got in the Mustang, and then look how long it took him to win his pro license, and he won the championship for Pro Spec, what, 2019, 2020?
No, he got it the very next year, didn't he? I thought he was in it the very next year.
Nope. Nope.
Hmm.
Yeah,
But
I
no,
think
I
he
mean
lied.
it's that's what I see. From what I see, it's a lot of the car, and like it's that mentality where you got to think to yourself, like I will tell you, like I'm very analytical about things, right? I had an
Mm-hmm.
idea of what I wanted to do, and I did not expect what happened to happen. My
Mm-hmm.
whole like little secret plan was to build the Mustang, get buddy buddy with Justin Pollock, and then pay to be on his team once I have my license. I didn't expect him to
Mm,
be like, "Yup, homie, I'll hook you up." I didn't expect that. I expected to be able to have the opportunity to be like, "Can I pay you money? You assist me throughout the year, so that at least I have all his settings in my car." And that was the whole point of me building a carbon copy of his car, is that I did
mm-hmm.
not expect him to retire. That was not a part of the plans, because that goes back to what I was saying, like with Simon Olsen and stuff. Like that would mean I could go into pro spec in my very first year, instantly dominate, because I already have all the inputs. I already know, like he already knows how every track drives, and he can be like, "Oh, you need to do this," and then he can watch me as crew chief and be like, "Oh, you're doing this wrong," because he knows he drives the fucking same car, so he can be like, "Oh, you're doing this wrong." Because
Yeah,
what I wanted to do is I wanted to get my license in this car, and then I wanted to pay to drive his demo car in pro spec.
gotcha.
That was my original plan, and then he retired. That kind of fucked up all my plans. So
Thanks for ruining my plans, Justin.
yeah, I told him that. I mean, I was like, because I mean, I didn't expect him to do it for a homie or anything like that. It was more of
Yeah,
like, I mean, I hope you take my money.
yeah. He
But
used to judge at the Drift League too. He
hmm,
was actually pretty funny.
No, he's a really funny guy to be around. He's one of the few guys. It happens every time. Like whenever I see him in person, we end up talking for like 5-6 hours. Like
Mm-hmm.
literally, there's not a single time I've seen him in person that we haven't ended up talking for hours on end.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
What? Let's circle back to Hot Pit though. What has been your highest finish at Hot Pit?
16.
Okay.
Yeah, last year in 16. But I've been in saying that I think well I can my list of excuses, but I mean it's the truth. At round one, the car was fine mechanically. My team, I made a wheel speed change. Well, I told them to make a change, and I had just put the winner's quick change literally the week before showing up to Hot Pit round one, so I didn't know what different wheel speeds were like in my car. So let's get that out of the way. So my dog box and quick change had just gone in the car a week prior.
Gotcha.
And I told my team, okay, you know what? On the bank, I'm kind of mid RPM. I'd like to be redlining on the bank because the rest of the course is really tiny. So the rest of the course, I
Mm-hmm.
could be mid range. So I told them to make, I forgot what the gear change was, but the gear change was going to make it so it was always a taller gear, right? So I think I was on a 466 and I wanted them to go to a 510. I think that was the change I wanted them to make. They swapped me to a 311. And I didn't know this. But remember I told you we were having nitrous problems at Erndale. So we were already
Mm-hmm.
having power problems. So we had turned off nitrous by this point. So my
Mm-hmm.
brain was already thinking I'm already down on power. So I go to initiate in the bank the first time after we make the change, expecting it to be easier to drift. I'm
Mm-hmm.
bogging now. So we try to make changes, try to loosen the car up, to raise the tire pressure up. And then you know what's interesting? I did one lap with that gear change, and it's actually the one that Slavy Squat posted where I'm drifting on the wires. I don't know if you ever saw that video. There's a video of me drifting on the wires and there's sparks going on my tires. It was the one lap I had during practice on Friday or Saturday. Was it Saturday? It was Saturday. That was a perfect lap. It was I hit all the zones, everything. And the thing that I had in common in that lap is I had no tread left on the tire.
Nice.
Because you know why? We ended up finding out after I already got knocked out in the knockout battle, we found out I was trying to drift the bank at 140 miles an hour with 500 horsepower. So
How did that mistake happen? Because if I'm not mistaken, the winner's quick change, if you swap the gears from top to bottom, doesn't it change them
yeah, so
somehow?
he
Or
put
are
it
they?
he put it in the
He put,
opposite direction and he grabbed the wrong gears. So not only did he grab the wrong gears, he also put them in the wrong setup. But
okay.
it is you
Okay,
can
that
blame
makes more
me
sense.
because remember I just put the winners. So every other team that has a winners in their program has a picture set so the pit doesn't know to make that mistake. But it only just got put in the week prior. And the person
Gotcha.
who made the mistake does not have a quick change in his own car. So he wouldn't know either.
Got it.
So,
I'm gonna tell
but
Eddie, you
we
piece of
did not
shit.
know the mistake until I was already out of the event.
Was it Eddie? We can talk shit about him. We're friends.
Oh, no, 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 no. Eddie, actually, believe it or not, Eddie is probably should be paid to do his job. Let's put it that way. Is if I get money, he's the first person on my payroll.
Oh,
He's
nice.
really fucking good. Like if I could, I will not ever talk shit about Eddie because he joined my program on a fucking whim, and he has treated it like a job. Like
Nice.
that guy is so good, and like I'm a depressed. People aren't trying to steal him from me. Like there should be people trying to actively steal him away.
I think he's good. Not to take anything away from him, but I think he's good because he's also a driver. He's also a Mustang
And he's a
guy.
very good
So
driver too.
it probably just works for you. Actually, my father-in-law has uh, an older Cobra with that stupid ass motor he has in his car. So every time I have to work on that fucking thing, I always call him.
Oh yeah, no, he knows. He loves those motors,
And he
man.
knows that thing like the back of his
He
hand
loves
too.
mod motors so much.
Yeah.
He even says you should put a mod motor in the car. I'm like, no. No, so I made that mistake, and then accident happened right before round two, the Texas Motor Speedway event.
Mm-hmm.
So I was out that round because my car couldn't get fixed in enough time. And then round three was when the infamous shutting down problem started. So I've been
Okay, I
in
remember
round
that.
three
Yeah.
and round four have both been me shutting down. So round three, the car was sometimes acting weird, like maybe once or twice during practice it did a weird thing. For the most part, it did fine. And then my last chance battle with Kyle, my car just straight up shut off. And you can even hear it. My car's like drifting and then it goes, "Roar," and you just hear
No
nothing.
shit.
So I had stopped drifting. So of course I zeroed. And then round 3, we did dish nitrous all together because we noticed every time I was nitrous was making it do the bogging problem every time. So we ditched nitrous altogether. I replaced everything on the car, replaced the crankshaft sensor, replaced everything. And then it did it once on Friday. And then so that's when we came in on Saturday morning and replaced everything. Replaced the throttle body, replaced the coil packs, replaced the spark plugs, replaced the mass airflow sensor. And then I reprogrammed the computer with a new tune. Did all of that on Saturday morning. Did all of Saturday practice, 0 issues. Not even one. 0 issues. All my runs on Saturday beyond practice were fine and were definitely enough to at least get us to like top 16 or top 8, right? I go behind Casey because I qualified slightly lower than him. I didn't even qualify that bad that round either. I go behind him. I enter on the bank. I'm on his door, and then I'm left foot braking to not hit him because my car has a lot of side acceleration. If I floor it, I go sideways. I don't go forward like an E46. So I'm left foot braking to try to keep on his door, and then out of nowhere, my car just starts going
Oh shit.
like someone's lifting the throttle. And here's the thing: when that happens, you would think to yourself, Alex, you're not making enough power. Clutch kicking doesn't do anything. Clutch kicking just goes roll, roll, roll. And so, yeah, what was
Oh
happening
shit.
is left foot braking, full throttle, and then all of a sudden the car comes out of drift and I grip up and hit him. And then going back to like the mentality of car accidents, I hit his rear wheel and then I tried to salvage the run, but I'd already zero at that point. So then we trade places and I was like, I might as well at least get a run out of here. So I did my run. I kept sideways the whole run, but I almost guarantee you what went through Casey's mind is my imagination is that he thought I was trying to like bully him or trying to be a dick about it. Like, hey, I'm gonna whack you, fuck you in your car. I think that's what he thought happened. Like I was like, oh yeah, big dick you, I'm gonna hit you because I'm a bigger guy than you, blah blah blah. So he took the opportunity because halfway through the course of last round, I was almost completely shutting off, and you can hear me clutch kick like 4 times to keep it sideways. And even Andy, when he was announcing, he goes, "Yeah, something's wrong with Alex's car. It looks like he has 100 horsepower right now." And then Casey hits my car like 4 times because he's like, "I'm returning the favor, fucker." That's why if you look at my end of my run, I just pull off the track because, dude. And here's the difference, right? I went over immediately to say I'm sorry and what happened and everything else. And I think he thought I knew there was a problem, but remember what I just told you, there was no problem through practice. And then he
Yeah.
fucked my car up, by the way. He fucked my car up bad.
Did he?
He broke my wheel. He broke my hub bearing. He broke my control arm. He broke my front wheel. He broke my front fender. And dude, do you think I hate that guy? No, not at all.
Yeah.
Because we're both on the drift track, and I knew exactly what he thought. When he hit me the first time, I knew exactly what it was. It was in his mind, he's like, "I'm gonna get you back, bitch." And wasn't angry at all. I was just like, I get it. Because he didn't know it was my car shutting down. He thought it was me like, fuck you, dude. So
Yeah.
I never had bad blood with him. I was just like, I told it was exactly the right thing he should have did. But fuck, I didn't think he would hit me 4 times.
That's funny.
But yeah.
Did you get into top 16 this year at all or no?
No, every round I've had a problem. I haven't. I name a round I haven't had a problem.
This hasn't been your 2023 has not been your year in that Mustang then.
No, I mean the good
Are
news,
you
and
gonna
you can ask
pull it
Eddie on
apart?
this, is when my car is working right now, I finally got the car set up correct. The way the car is set up right now, my car is probably one of the best set up cars right now for a hot pit and the 300 treadwear tires. I believe
Gotcha.
if I put 800, I can get all 850 horsepower to the ground. The way my car is set up right now, once I put the turbos in it, I'm fairly confident, and you can quote me on this. I mean, it's on a recording. I'm fairly confident if I have no mechanical issues next year and I have the turbo system in my car and nothing goes wrong mechanically that's out of my control, it's going to be very hard to beat me. Because if you look at the runs, you see the runs where my car doesn't fuck up. My line's almost perfect. My lead runs are almost immaculate. Like it's very hard for you to pick out something wrong with my lead run. And my chase run, it's usually something going wrong with me. But I do have to work better at the chase run. My chases aren't the best.
Are you gonna go driving this off season
As soon as the
and go
car is
chase
fixed,
people?
yeah, I'm going to drive constantly. Because I mean,
Gotcha.
yeah, no, I'm gonna try to. That's why I want to do the Arizona. And plus, from what I hear, the Arizona event's gonna have as many events as Hot Pit. So I'm gonna try to do both.
What's happening in Arizona?
Um, I forgot what it's called, but there's gonna be a separate series in Arizona running that Dustin's gonna do as well, and I think Josh Stewart's gonna do, and I think Alex Anderson.
Do you know
Um,
what it's called?
I forgot. It's the one I'm going to. It's at the end of the month. It's the one they. Oh, you're not on the Discord. Yeah, I forgot what it's called, but I'm going to it for sure as long as I get the car.
On the Hot Pit Discord?
Yeah,
I'm in there.
yeah.
I
So
haven't seen
they
it.
post. David Carey posted it, but he
Mm.
posted in other events, not Hotbit. That so yeah, I'm gonna try to run those. And the whole idea behind this is because I actually think Hot Pit will be a career if if they can turn a profit. Because I think a lot of guys are getting confused; they're not turning a profit. So if anything, if you could make something public and snippet this, is Hot Pit is not making bank, not at all. And if we don't all support those three guys, we are going to
Yeah.
lose Hot Pit, and Hot Pit will only help us. And especially since how Jeff is, as long as Jeff and RJ and Rob are in charge, I think they're always going to be on the driver's side because they
Mhm.
I mean, speaking for Jeff, Jeff's gotten the short end of the stick so many times in FD. So, I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, the way I see it is we need a lot more drivers helping out, helping them out and pushing to push up it, and not just treating it like some other series. Because the way they've done everything, the one thing I think Drift League fucked up with is they did not have a live stream, and that's the one thing I push them to do, and they've got it, and they got a good live stream, dude. For the
I haven't
budget,
seen it.
to watch it,
Yeah.
it's dude. We're talking. This is not a paid crew of like $10,000. Like FD charges $100,000 per round. The company that does it for FD, it's
Oh
like
wow.
close to 100 grand. Dude, they have a truck, a satellite truck that goes to every event. That truck costs like $500,000. So I mean,
That's great.
like what Hot Pit has as a live stream is fucking crazy for three dudes in their basement. That's essentially what Hot Pit is. Three dudes in their because
Yeah.
Jeff was never rich. Did you think
Yeah.
Jeff Jones is a billionaire? Is RJ a billionaire?
No. No.
Rob's a billionaire? None of those guys are billionaires. I
Yeah.
could guess people being like all bitchy and angry if they were billionaires. Like who's rich among that group? Yeah, if TJ Hunt started a series. If TJ Hunt started a series, I could see you being like, man, fuck that guy. He can do all the advertising himself. He's TJ Hunt. Fuck you. That's what annoys me too.
Yeah. I also don't know his financial situation.
He has money
I,
though,
I don't.
for
I don't
sure.
know if he's loaded or if he's
No,
just
but
kind of like
well, I'm just making an example,
still.
like because I
Yeah.
know some people talk and say like, oh yeah, I showed up, I did what they asked me to do, but I don't know. My opinion is you got to do a little bit more because I really want this Hot Pit to grow big. Because you know what I would like? I would like a local series that is on the same level as FT but not different, right? And also it's cheaper. There's no way it can't be cheaper. It's 300 treadwear tires. You're not going through a set
Yeah.
of tires one battle.
The only thing I don't love is that it's at that small track.
That's not their fault. That is not
No.
their
No.
fault.
No. No.
Yeah.
No. No.
They don't
I'm
want
not
to
saying
be
that.
there. They don't want to be there like for all the
Don't
rounds.
say that. Let's not say that.
No, no, no. What I'm saying though is they
I
don't
don't
want
want
to have
them to hear
all
this.
5 rounds at Orange. They want to have
Yeah.
like the one
A
round at a
somewhat
different.
traveling
Yeah, like
series.
that. Like from if I hope they go through with it, it sounds like it's going to be a multi-state event next year.
Oh, that'd be cool.
I hope, dude. I hope. I hope. I mean, ideally, I would like to stay at Erndale. That would be awesome too.
Irwindale's a fun track.
But they don't like
I really miss it.
us. They don't like drifters.
I think they just kind of were expecting more with the Drift League. I really don't know, and I think maybe that might have put a bad taste in their mouth, like working with a quote unquote feeder slash amateur series. But I don't put Hot Pit in the amateur
It's not.
series
It's not. As
category
soon
because
as
they're
you do
not.
that, it's like you're just fucking over everyone. Yeah, no.
Yeah, well, they're not. They have, in my opinion, they are the true definition of a pro am series because pro am just means pros and amateurs are allowed at this event.
Mm.
There are amateur drivers in Hot Pit. Let's just be honest. Some, yeah, self admittedly or would be an amateur driver at
Well,
this
actually,
point.
here's a question. So I had this debate with someone. What would you consider be a pro driver? Wouldn't a pro driver be someone who's paid to do it? Because technically I'm paid to do it. What would be a pro driver?
Well, let's look at people who aren't paid to do it, who are still really good. Would you consider Mason a pro driver? Because he's not getting paid,
No, I wouldn't. 'Cause
and he's
it's like, well, how could he be a pro driver though?
but he's beating everybody.
That doesn't mean
You know what I
anything
mean?
though. Like that, because the thing is,
But that's I think
if
it's
I
up for
won,
debate.
if I entered Drift League and I dominated in Drift League, and I won every single event, but this still doesn't make me a pro driver. Because a pro driver literally means a professional driver. It means that your career is driving.
I would agree with that. Someone who does this for a living, I can definitely agree with
So
that
I wouldn't
because
say I'm necessarily pro, but I do make a profit driving.
oh yeah, I don't think depending on how you're set up and sponsors, everybody's program is different too. Most people are self-funded. You know, you see a little bit of stickers, and people think you're getting money from them, but sometimes it's just
No
fucking
one is. No one. A lot
parts
of
if
guys
you're
in
lucky.
fucking pro aren't getting money. That's fucking
Yeah,
scary.
exactly.
Um,
Yeah, exactly.
but
It also depends on how you want to go about it. And some people do want to make this a career and make money off of it. That's to help grow the sport. I understand that. That'll come with time. Um, but like personally, I don't want to have this be my career. Like I'm actually in the middle of starting a business right now, so I'll let this be like what I want to do if I can keep it on a decent budget. If I can get it paid for, great. But to get paid for it, I think that's a completely different ballgame.
so the solution is like, I forgot who I was talking to about it. Maybe it was Jeff. That's where you meet that happy medium. See, I wouldn't be happy doing that because I actually do enjoy competitive. I don't know what
Mm-hmm.
happened, but somewhere along the line, I used to not like competitive and I used to get stressed out. But now I
Oh,
actually
really?
legitimately like competitive. Like, you know what? It got
Mm-hmm.
fun for me when we started talking shit about each other, like, but not really meaning it. Like when we started the whole pro wrestler
Yeah, just the
thing.
banter.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, of course.
fuck yeah, dude. When I talk shit to Ben and Ben goes, "You think you're gonna beat me?" but not in a vindictive way, like in a like ha ha ha, ha funny laughing kind of way, dude. Immediately as soon as that happened, I love competitive. So, but no, you like what you said is that is possible if all you want to do is get paid to drift, not necessarily compete, but or win, but you just want to get paid to drift. These ride along events, dude, like there is so much
Yeah.
money, especially if
Not
you have a
necessarily get
cool car.
paid, but have it paid for. Like you're not coming out of pocket. That's an ideal situation.
Yeah, the first time I legitimately like I've broken even a few times with events I've done, but
Mm-hmm.
Erindale Fuel Fest this year was a huge net positive.
Really?
Huge net positive. I mean, we're
Okay.
talking overall. I'm not talking just like when I say I'm a business owner. I know because a lot of guys like to say I made money, but then they don't factor in gas, food, travel,
No. They
wear on the
didn't accept
car.
their expenses.
Yeah, so I
They're just like,
like
I made 3 grand, but yeah, you spent 4 grand to get there.
yeah. So I
Yeah, yeah.
spent
I know what you're talking about.
No, I
Yeah.
exactly spent with tires and gas and we're talking diesel, transportation, and even a percentage for how much damage it did to the car, which is very low because we didn't do many laps. I think we did 40 in total. Um, and only 25 of those ended up being ride-alongs. And 1450, I think, was my total cost with everything, including like my pit crew, everything. And I think it was close to 3 grand, I think.
Yeah, that's not bad. That's not
So
bad
I
at all.
made money. And then
Note to self: have car ready by Fuel Fest.
yeah, but the thing is people were desperate to get in my car. And it's because remember, Fuel Fest doesn't bring Formula D fans. It brings people who don't even know what the fuck drifting is. So do you want
Yeah,
to know
and
what
now they have an
attracts?
opportunity to go into this vehicle. Yeah.
I can actually say this. There were more people asking to get in my car than Matt Field's car. And you know why? It's because none of them are drift fans. They don't know who the fuck Matt Field is. They don't know Rudy. They don't know Rudy Hansen. They don't even know who I am. The only thing that
Yeah.
stood out about me was it was loud and I was doing stupid things. That's it. I wasn't the better driver either. I was the only one who was doing the crazy angle entries and doing like riding the wall and stuff like that, while everyone else was just
Mhm.
doing a drift lap.
Gotcha.
So because remember, these are not drift fans. These are just people that showed up. These are actually movie fans. These are Fast and Furious fans. And that's
Yeah, that okay, that would make sense.
yeah. So that's
They're
that.
like, I want the guy who's on the edge.
Yeah, just the guy who looks cool. That's why I made a joke about because everyone was kind of complaining last year about Urundale Fuel Fest because all the Fuel Fest and everyone else was making posts about me, and they didn't know who I was at that time. And I was like making a joke saying, "Hey, I'm not the best driver there, but I have the loudest car."
Yeah.
And then that's what kids who are 12 years old remember. They remember the loud car that hurt their ears. They don't. Margaritas was there last year. Margaritas is probably one of the best drivers out there. So, but Margarita's car wasn't as loud as mine, and it also was white, and it's hard in your brain to think about white. So
Yeah, I know. My car's gonna be white, so I should be.
it's hard. But yeah, no, I mean, so yeah, if you ever want to do that, like just going off of what you were telling me, I think is the goal would be to make a loud, obnoxious car that a 12-year-old would love. If you can make a car that a 12-year-old, a random 12-year-old, if you could pull your car up to a random middle school and they all run out, then you can get paid to be a drifter. Not a competitive drifter, but you can be paid
Yeah.
to drift.
Dude, I pull up to my kid's school with the car on the trailer, and some of his friends are like, "Oh, that's your dad's car," and he's like, "Yeah, can we not talk about it?"
Oh, it's
Because
worth.
my kid grew up around it,
Yeah,
so he's like, "Yeah, this is the life we fucking live, I guess."
dude, you have no idea. My girlfriend has two kids. They're like
Mhm.
13 and 14, or 13 or 15, and I've been around. I've been with her for like a decade, so I've literally been around them since they were like 5 and 6. So they've seen, like, I've had a performance shop for 10 years, right? So as long as I had the shop, I've known her, right? So
Yeah,
they've been in like 700 horsepower cars all the time. Like, there's a video on my YouTube channel where I took the youngest back like 2 years ago around the block in it, and I hadn't told him there was a turbo in it yet. So I just told him, like, drive with the car because my turbo kit you can't see from the outside. So let me drive around the block and you tell me what happened. I got a surprise for you. And then I drive and I floor it and I do it. And then he turns over and says, "What, is that it?" That was literally. And then, dude, here's the crazy part. We were driving to visit one of her family friends in Lancaster, and the kids were in
mhm.
the back on their iPads and my black Mustang, and I put it up to full boost, and we did a full pull in fourth gear. So we went from
They're
40
like
miles an
this.
hour to
Yeah,
170 miles an hour in like 4 or 5 seconds. They didn't even look up from their iPad.
fucking kids.
They literally, so, and then they tell their friends, like, I asked them, well, before one of them graduated from middle school, I said, "You want me to pick you up on the last day of school in the orange Mustang?" And he's like, "No one cares about cars at my
He's
school."
like, please.
No,
He's like,
they didn't
please
care.
don't.
They're just like, no, none of my friends care about that stuff. Like, if I was like Ninja, then he'd be like, "Yeah, can you pick you're a famous Fortnite player. Yeah, all my friends will freak out." Yeah, that
Yeah,
makes me depressed. I
my
don't think drifting's going to really carry over much longer because there's not many kids who like cars.
not yet. My kid's like starting to barely get into it. Like he wants to learn how to drive now. He's 12, and I'm like, I think it's about the time to put him in a seat and let him have some fun. Because I want to build two cars. I'm gonna obviously have my comp car, and then I'm gonna probably just gonna throw a little practice car together with like Godspeed coilovers on it.
No, but here's the thing, dude.
Whatever's cheap.
You
Yeah,
know what makes me depressed though? I mean, they're not my kids, so it's not my problem. But I've literally told them, "Let's go to ABS. Go with me one weekend on ABS, and you can drive my car the whole day. Well, I'll
yeah.
teach you how to drift the car because they already know how to drive. I've taught them both how to drive manual
Nice.
when they
Uh,
were like 3 years ago. So they both know how to drive
uh,
a manual car. They
yeah.
don't have licenses. And I literally said, "Hey, let's go to ABS. You can drive the Mustang. I'll modify the seats so both of you can drive it." And they're just like, no, they just want to stay home and play
They're
Fortnite.
just not interested.
And I'm just like, and I'm not going to force them. And I'm just like, dude, if I was a 12-year-old and you said, "Can I drive?" I don't even care. Not even have to be a Mustang. It could have been a
Anything.
bucket piece of shit 240 with
A
a KA in
fucking
it.
Fiero.
Yeah, it could
Yeah.
have been anything, dude. It could have been a fucking A86 with nothing done to it. And if someone would have told me, like my mom's boyfriend would have said, "Hey, you want to drive my bucket on the racetrack?" I would
Hmm.
have instantly said, "Hell yeah." When can we do it? And then every moment I saw him, I'd be asking him, when are we going? When are we going? When are we going? And then
Yeah, I don't blame.
and even I took them drifting before, like around here, because they won't come to the track with me. And literally the reaction is just like, uh-huh,
Yeah,
okay. Versus like some of my customers I've took in the car and done like the big entry on fucking ABS. Like the funniest story was I took one of my customer came by with a Focus RS and I did a bunch of repairs to his car. He's a younger
mm-hmm.
guy. And I go, oh, by the way, I'm going to Flavor. It was a Flavor Express event. I go to him, oh, we're having this event. It starts at like 10 and goes to like 2 a.m. at night. It's a fucking far drive, but it's going to cost you $40 and no one's really going to charge you for ride-alongs. So you don't have to pay like $250 like Fuel Fest. So you should just show up. And if you come, you come. You don't, you don't. And he said, oh, yeah, I might come. We got nothing to do in the morning, but we got like a party to go to at night. So me and four of my friends will come out. So he did. He showed up around 12 and he goes, hey, dude, can I go for a ride? I took him for a ride. And I have footage of it. I have to upload of it. He's just screaming the whole time like a little girl. Like, and he keeps saying this one sentence. This is unreal. Because remember, this is a guy who's never been in a drift car his entire life. He barely knows what drifting is. He barely knows what racing is. And I do a fucking, and I'm going as fast as fucking possible with it. And the whole time he's saying, this is unreal. This is crazier than a roller coaster. Because I did a backy on ABS on his very first lap. So we're going backwards into the fucking corner. And then I pull out of it and we go, because he's completely convinced we're going to crash. So I do 2 laps with him, pull him out, get his friend, pull him out, get him in. And then I go, because I had like a line at that point at Flavor. I had like 20, 30 people waiting. And then he says, oh, yeah, go just ask everyone. Everyone's going to say yes because it's Flavor event. No one really says no. So I expect him to be gone. And then like I think midnight rolls around. I'm out of tires. And he rolls up to me and starts hugging me. And I'm like, dude, you're still here? It's like, yeah, we canceled all our plans. We've been here all day, dude.
Nice.
This has been the funnest day of my entire life up until this point. And it's just like,
That's funny.
but it's just so crazy. Like for some people, it's like life changing. And then like her kids are like, fucking, it's like, whatever, man. We don't give a shit. We want to play Fortnite.
Fuck this car. Yeah, that's how, my goodness. And then he gets mad when I'm like, get in here and help me bleed these fucking brakes, asshole.
Do you do the thing? Hold the flashlight! Hold the flashlight!
No, he hasn't got the flashlight treatment yet. So far, he's just gotten the pump the fucking brakes, please. Which he does good. So it doesn't, I can't complain. But all right, man, I think I'm going to call it there. I got to be up at 5 a.m. So.
Oh, damn. I'm not looking up for that. All right, buddy. Thank you for the.
I took a nap. I took a nap before I got on here with you.
I did warn you. I'm a talker. I did warn that
No, that's great. That's great. We barely talked about hot pit, but we're all right.
Cool.
Well, we can always do it again another time. But thank you for coming on. How can people find you if they want to?
At Alex Drifts. If you've seen Orange Mustang, you got the right Alex Drifts. I don't drive an FRS, so you can't really get us confused. So there's only one Mustang.
Who's the other one?
The guy Alex Licklider in Prospect.
Oh, that's right.
So yeah, if you type in Alex Drift in anywhere, doesn't matter where the hell you type in Alex Drift, and you see an orange Mustang or this fat face, you got the right Alex Drifts.
There you go. There you go.